Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Gridiron Gallery, the Zach, Tony, and Grimbo Show edition of Gridiron Gallery, mind you. It's been a minute. For us three to be on the Gridiron Gallery podcast. As you all know, or if you haven't known, here's the deal. The Zach, Tony, and Grimbo Show is the premier NFL show on the Gridiron Gallery podcast. Just saying. You know, if we're going to talk NFL, these guys have to be on it. You know, I feel guilty if I talk NFL without them on here. And now we get to talk about it on video, too. All of our ugly mugs are on a video version, which, by the way, if you subscribe to the Gridiron Gallery YouTube page, you can see the YouTube version. If you're listening on podcast or on the Unhinged Sports Network, that's okay. I'm okay with both those options, too. You're hearing us, but you can see us as well. You know, you can see that Tony is in a kitchen. You can see that Michael is obviously viewing this in a portrait mode on his phone. You know, you can see that I have a background now that's not my bedroom. Exciting things are going on with this video. But that's not the point of what we're doing with this podcast. What we're doing with this podcast is getting back together. So fellas, first, how we all doing before I go to the second point? What's new?
Just stressed, man. You know, working a full-time gig is finally catching up to me. It's really weird because now I have to actually be in charge of things.
Ooh.
Important.
Large and in charge, Mr. Stenulson.
I don't want it.
I think you're doing a fine job, is from what it sounds like, man. You'll get it. You'll get it. Michael, what's going on, bud? How you been lately?
Hey, doing good. Wedding planning, and the big day's coming pretty soon. TikTok. It's coming.
Oh man, I know the big day's coming for you. Now we planned for a mock draft, which, by the way, for those listening, this is a whole first round mock draft discussion. So we are going all 32 picks. If you're listening on the unhingedsn.com website, it's not the whole thing. Don't worry. You can listen to the full version, but if you want to get what we got, at least for the big ones, you know, the first 10, the really important ones that are at the top that might be franchise changers, we got you right here. I got to ask, Michael, how much did the mock draft take up your planning compared to wedding planning?
Oh gosh, not you'd think. Maybe I should keep that under wraps for the wife to not know that.
Yeah, might be for the best. She can find it pretty easy, I would imagine.
Right.
So we'll all three of us are gonna zip it up right now. We'll zip up on that. Huh? You're killing me, man. All right, let's get into this thing. Here's Michael, as we have mentioned on shows, and you may know. He is the most excited of us for any NFL draft conversation, talk, you know, you name it, we got it. It's kind of a weird year still. The pandemic obviously has shut down the combine again. It's been mostly pro days. We're getting to hear about performances. For example, Trey Lance, how he impressed with his pro day over at North Dakota State. So we heard about that. Trevor Lawrence, which we're not surprised, and many others. So it's a different year. Again, you know, so we're all figuring this out on the fly, but we got a whole draft for you, and we're gonna kick things off. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen. I believe the order was Michael, me, Tony.
No. I believe I was the first pick.
I was totally off, and that is okay. I know I'm in the middle. I purposely did that. So Tony is the first pick. And I'm glad that we got that ordered. If I had the jingle right now, I'd just be tapping a sounder going do 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 do. So here's the deal: all three of us, we're gonna rotate and announce a pick. We will then discuss the pick, or at least alternatives that we could have presented as well. The person that announces will get a chance to give a reason for it, and then we'll just kind of counter on it and move down the line as we go. But there's a 3-person rotation. So after the third pick here, which the Dolphins pick or whoever is going to move up to that, we'll then circle back to Tony. So Tony, first pick. A lot of options for the Jags, although one's pretty common. I don't know if you took the common one. I mean, a lot of people might assume it, but who is there?
Well, I can tell you who's not going to be there. It's not going to be Trey Lance. He may have impressed in his pro day, but Urban Meyer was too busy doing other things to attend it. This one's a no-brainer. Minshew Mania was a fluke. Trevor Lawrence is going number 1 overall.
I can't really argue against that either. You know, it's all the intangibles that it's been mentioned. You know, the program makes sense. Their success from Clemson, from Dabo Swinney's program at QB. Lawrence was a stud coming out of high school. Him and Fields, number 1 and 2 in the country in rankings for prospects at the time. I'm sticking with it too. I have no issues with this.
I agree.
Fair enough. That was pretty fast. The rest of this might not be that fast.
Love it.
The rest of this might not be that fast. And that's okay, because there's a lot of course, excellent talent out here, at least talent that we see on paper. You know, again, the future's uncertain, but the NFL draft has a lot of excitement behind it because you never know. Number 2 on the board, the Jets are going to be standing up. They had a chance at won a few games late. Jags slipped by after winning the first game of the season and just kind of, you know, letting everything go into cruise control. I am picking the second pick, and it's been kind of changing. Early on, this was supposed to be, you know, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, but you know what? Zach Wilson has made a lot of noise. He has looked like a solid prospect. I think the intangibles are there. I think the offense is more tuned from BYU to a pro offense, and I'm going to go with Wilson here. Now, credit, 1-year starter, so I'm a Bears fan. You kind of get the gist of where this might be going. That's what Trubisky was coming out, but I think Wilson just makes a lot of sense here. You know, I think for the Jets, they are ready to move on in some way. I mean, there's already so much talk about Darnold moving away from the Jets, so I think Wilson's the next step. They got their receiver, Corey Davis. Might as well give him someone that can, I think, more consistently throw it to him, and someone that's not been beaten around with with many coordinators over the years.
I like it, but I don't think I like it as much as you guys might like it. I feel like they need to continue on with Darnold. He's still so young, and you know they really didn't build their team around him very well. And they had Robbie Anderson at one point, and they shipped him out to Carolina, and they just don't keep anybody, but they have all the money. So I went with Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle from Oregon. You got to protect them.
Okay.
Beef up the O-line. I know they took Mekhi Becton last year, but, you know, they're both young, and Sewell has really good experience inside too. So, I mean, you never know. You can never be too sure taking offensive linemen to protect your future. So.
And on the CBS big board, by the way, any rankings I mention are CBS Sports for those listening in. If you wanted someone else, I apologize, but that's the one that I've been following for a lot of this process that we've been building. Sewell is on the top of that board. He's on top of many boards, honestly, and he was going to go in top 5. I don't argue. I can't disagree with that, you know, but yeah. I'd say, if you want Darnold, why not? You know, best guy to even protect him right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's just so young, Darnold is, and I mean, you can't. I mean, yes, he hasn't really produced very well, but I mean, you got to look. He hasn't really had anything around him, you know. Like everything gets shipped away. So I mean, you either give him a chance or you let him be free. And so, I mean, it is what it is. You gotta look at it from the future standpoint. So.
Yeah, and you got to look at the system that he was in. I mean, Adam Gase's system wasn't beneficial to him at all. I'm with you in one part, Mike, where they keep Darnold, but I'm not with you in thinking that Corey Davis is the guy that they want to only have at wide receiver. It's the same process as if you had like a Jamison Crowder and Robbie Anderson. You got one guy, but who do you have on the other side? I actually have the Jets trading down in the draft with the Broncos. Okay. Because with the Broncos at number 9. Yeah, the Jets are going to trade down to number 9. If you guys want, I can tell you who I'm going to pick at number 9, or I can tell you who the Broncos are going to take at number 2.
I don't know. Well, hey, okay. All right, that's fair. So who do the Broncos take then?
The Broncos are going to trade up to number 2, and they're taking Zach Wilson because that's who they need.
Oh, my gosh.
I like it.
Okay.
They
I
need
like how you.
quarterback. Drew Lock's not the answer in Denver.
like
Zach Wilson's still out there in that western side. He's used to the temperatures. I think he'd be a great fit in that offense, and he's got some young talent around him already to where he can throw it or hand the ball off.
I like how you spun that. You know, we both get a win here. You know, Michael doesn't have to see Wilson in the Jets. I get to see Zach Wilson go number 2. That's a win-win. And that's already crazy, guys. We see the first pick was so damn easy. Now we're on, and we're just going to make this a roller coaster from here on out for all this madhouse. And Michael, you get to continue the madhouse here. So number 3, in barring any trades, again, mind you, the Dolphins, you know, they got the big snag when they made that Texans deal. They're sitting at 3. They were 10-6 team. They get to sit number 3 in the NFL draft this year. What do?
Yeah, I mean they were on the brink of being a playoff team. I remember messaging you guys and being like, they're gonna have a top 3 pick and they're gonna make the playoffs. Like,
It's crazy.
I don't think that's happened in like 20 years or something like that. And I think they gotta go with a wide receiver. I'm taking Jamar Chase. I personally think a lot of people are gonna put Devontae Smith there, which, I mean, you saw what he did in the national championship game, but you know, Jamar Chase, he did opt out this past year, but you can't forget what he did in LSU's offense with Joe Burrow. I mean, the guy was carving up defenses in the SEC, and you can't discredit what he's done, and you can't blame him for opting out with the whole COVID protocol stuff and all that. You know, he's won Fred Biletnikoff Award and as the best wide receiver in the country. I mean, he's done it all in the SEC, and I mean, you can't discredit what he's done. So I like the fit here for Jamar Chase. I think he'll pair very well with Devontae Parker. So I like it, and it gives Tua a nice little weapon to use in that offense.
Man, oh man! You said it. I'm the guy that's picking this Devontae Smith. No offense to Jamar Chase, and Michael brings up a great point. A lot of opt-outs too. We have to consider that. You know that when you have opt-outs, when you don't have a combine, and you have to rely on some pro days. Now pro days are great, but combine also is another addition. And so, you know, Chase is definitely has the intangibles. You know, he sat out. I have complete understanding for that. I have no problem with that. But man, Smith rose his stock in my eyes this past year to the point where I just can't ignore it. You know, he might be a skinny receiver right now. He can bulk up. You know, I think that's possible. But you have the bulky, lengthy receiver in Devontae Parker across from you. Let's get the bit more of the speedster, the slick guy on the opposite side in Devontae Smith for Tua to throw to. I think a receiver to me makes sense at this spot. Just might be differing. I'm going with Smith as that choice from Alabama.
So we're all on the wide receiver train. No, we're not. I'm kidding. I'm not. Listen. The Miami's offensive line is a lot worse than it looked in 2020. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They need help. They need to be able to protect Tua. I think this is where Sewell goes. I think he goes to Miami with the 3rd overall pick.
Fair enough.
I like it.
Yeah.
Sure,
I mean, sorry to interrupt you, Michael. I think one thing we should mention is a lot of the conversation early on in the offseason was what happens with Tua, maybe a trade or something. But I think at this point, at least at this recording, it seems like they're definitely committed. And I think we can agree that something goes to help Tua at least develop.
Yeah, and regardless, I think that even if they trade Tua away and they bring another quarterback, you still have to bolster that offensive line because between the tackles, they gave up like 37 pressures. Which is one of the worst, and that was in the NFL. So I think they need to bolster that offensive line regardless of who's in. If they trade Tua, if they keep Tua, you need that offensive line.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm liking it too. And we rotate back. Number 4 pick. Tony just had his opinion on where Sewell goes. So number 4 sits Michael's Atlanta Falcons. Falcons have plenty of options here as well. This is unique. I think you can have many diverging paths where the Falcons can go here. Do they think of the future? Do they still think of win now? Tony, what does your pick say about the Falcons' future here?
So I know that Mike's been waiting for this pick all day, and it's very it's very intimidating to have a pick of one of your best friends and see what they decide to, critique it on. There's a lot of noise it's are they going to take Trey Lance? Are they going to take Justin Fields? I'm looking straight at needs, and where I see that Atlanta didn't live up to where they should have in 2020 was on their defense. So, and I'm probably going to butcher this last name. I think they end up taking an edge rusher because they want to get that pressure of Rousseau.
Ah, yes. You're talking the University of Miami product. Yes,
sir.
Okay. Alrighty.
All right.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Very weak in defensive side.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been mocked there. Well, not there, but in a trade back. Which, I mean, they definitely need help on the defensive line. I mean, that's a no-brainer there. What I went with at number 4 was actually very weird that, Tony, that you said this already. But I have the Broncos trading up and taking here. I think Zach Wilson drops a hair.
Oh, man.
Just a hair. And I think they swap picks. I think the Broncos trade up and take Wilson, which is really weird you said that. And Atlanta drops back down to 9. And then I'll get that till later.
Ooh. Later. Okay. Michael kind of punting here.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, the Broncos, they've been looking to fill the void of Peyton Manning since that time. So, I mean, Zach Wilson fits the bill easy.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, that's the question.
They copy paste what Tony said earlier.
Yeah, just change where the pick is at.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm thinking offense. I don't think the Falcons trade back, by the way. I think they need something to help at least get progressively towards where they want to go. Right. I think Arthur Smith in particular, I think you have options that you can go. Do you want to see your offense and vision where it's, you upgrade for the future? Do you not? I'm saying that they stick with the now. I am going to say that they try and protect Matt Ryan. This is where Sewell goes. In my eyes, he goes to Atlanta. And I think Atlanta is going to pick up the best offensive tackle in the rankings, according to CBS Sports, and also many others. Actually, this is the best offensive tackle, mostly across the board. I have not seen him go any lower than 1 or 2. And I think it just sounds like that they have committed to Matt Ryan and Julio Jones a little bit longer. Calvin Ridley made a massive leap last year. And I think you have weapons still to, they have weapons that they can take advantage of the situation that Arthur Smith has been given. So getting Sewell in there, a little more protection, Ryan gets a little more comfortable. I know the defense is an issue for them, but I think that they can address it back in the draft if they want to. I just think that if you're committing to Ryan, you need to protect Ryan. He's going to get less and less mobile as he ages. He's already not a mobile quarterback, so might as well get that short up. Have him getting less hits, and maybe they can secure a few games and stop blowing leads like they did at the beginning of last year. And I didn't reference the thing. I was referencing the beginning of the season. We have a pact, and I'm not breaking it again. I will not break that again. I'm just saying the beginning of the year. Especially the Bears game, they had their shot, and pressure at the end of that game killed the Falcons. I bet someone like Sewell would have done wonders at the end of that contest.
Yeah, he's a generational talent. I mean, he had a very, very good 2019 season. He won pretty much any award in the Pac-12 that you can name for a line. So it makes sense. I wouldn't be opposed to them taking him either. So. All 3 options, really.
Ooh. Yeah, Sewell is just enticing forever, gets him at the top. Which number 5, by the way, that was another one that I was debating. The Bengals do need line help badly. Yeah. For crying out loud, Joe Burrow was harassed, and then the Cincinnati Bengals were harassed by their fans for how he was consistently getting beaten up, which led to a torn ACL and a lot of recovery for his offseason. For me, since I am number 5 in the list, it's come back to my end. You know what? I just think it's hard to pass up Kyle Pitts here. I think in terms of the tight end rankings, Pitts is above and beyond anyone else. He's being talked about as a receiver, but quite frankly, you should keep him as a receiving tight end. That position has obviously has even been valued increasingly as the years have gone on for tight ends that have that receiver-esque figure to them. If you want to convert him, that's fine, but Pitts has stated he's a tight end, so I think you should keep him as a tight end, and you figure out your outside pass catching on your receivers as you please. And for the Bengals, they have T. Higgins and such that they can throw to. So I don't see why Pitts wouldn't be a bad choice if you want offensive weapons. Sewell could fit here. I just think that if the Falcons go with Sewell in my mock draft, you go with the next available that's the best on the board for what they need. Pitts just fits right into there to add into what would be an insane arsenal. I mean, we're even including Joe Mix into the mix, a healthy Joe Mix when he comes back as well.
Yeah, he's almost not even like a tight end. Almost, he's like a wide receiver, but he's obviously a tight end. But yeah, I think he's been like one of the highest graded tight ends like to ever come out of college or quite some time, or if ever. But if you need another weapon, he's it. He did very well with Kyle Trask last year, and he was pretty much the security blanket for him. And hey, why not give Joe Burrow another weapon? Why not? They got T. Higgins and add Pitts in there and Joe Mixon. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good offense. I mean,
I would say
all you got to do is protect him, which is what I went with. I went with Rashawn Slater from Northwest.
Oh, yes.
I did. I really liked him. I remember sending you guys a video of him. I think he was squatting like ridiculous amount of weight and just an animal. And he's got so much experience, especially against Chase Young. OH. So, he just has he's got all the intangibles, and he has the experience against like big premier prospect at that time in Chase Young, and it's not a sexy pick, it's the right pick.
That's the right pick.
Right.
I got to agree. I that's honestly who I had going at number 5.
Oh, hell.
You have to protect Joe Burrow. You can have all
I know.
the world, but the dude was scrambling more than anybody last season, and then he tore his ACL because he had to scramble, and then he got hit. If you protect him, that goes out the window, and I think Slater is the next best one behind Sewell.
Oh man, I get it. This is one for me. Maybe I'm overlooking, but it's like sometimes you get those picks. It's just about value in general. Like know this, Tony. The Cowboys do this all the time. They'll just like look at the best on the board and go, "I'm grabbing it."
Yeah, I know. We had this discussion last year where I was so pissed that we took CeeDee Lamb because we needed safety help and corner help, and we didn't get it. But I think the thing is about Pitts is that they're saying that his blocking is still a work in progress at this point. And so I don't know how much you can rely on that to also help protect Burrow. If that's what you need to focus on, which is what Cincinnati needed to focus on with Andy Dalton and with Carson Palmer and God knows who else was in front of them, that's who they finally need to get their heads out of their butts and pick an offensive lineman to help protect their quarterback.
I see it. Hey, they build those boys well at Northwestern, man. Pat Fitzgerald, talk about a program that has a lot of first-round potential this year. I mean, really good class from the boys up in Evanston. Mm-hmm. Man.
Sure.
Michael? You're a buddy.
Oh, yeah, I am up. How about that?
I thought you had said something. That's why I paused. No, but yes, Tony's right. It's your turn, pal.
Yeah, so I have the Eagles pick. Oh, boy.
Eagles.
I think that they need to give Jalen Hurts a little bit of a weapon here. I have the other wide receiver, Devontae Smith, going here. I think I know they drafted Jalen Reagor last year, and I mean, he's not like the best thing since sliced bread, but Devontae Smith, I mean, Heisman Trophy winner. He's got all the accolades you could ask for. He's not built as your prototypical wide receiver, what have you, but he's done it all, honestly, in college football. Right. It's hard to argue against it, honestly, and like, how could you argue against giving a rookie, well, not a rookie, a second-year quarterback a weapon in that offense? And I mean, they could always draft offensive linemen later. This is a really deep class too, and because I know they had injuries along the line, and hey, whatever it takes to help get that quarterback getting to the next level, then so be it. I like Smith here, so that's what I got.
Fair enough.
I see that because, if you look back on last year's draft, they definitely missed when they took Rieger instead of going for Justin Jefferson, who was still on the board.
Yeah.
So I can see why they wouldn't want to make that same mistake 2 years in a row. Personally, I think they need – this, for me, is a defense and offensive lineman draft. The Eagles need desperate help at linebacker. I think they roll with Micah Parsons from Penn State. Watching him play – I watched Ohio State play him twice a year. And that guy is insane. Whether he moves sideline to sideline, he's always got his nose in the football somehow. And honestly, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Leighton Vander Esch in the way that he just flies to the ball and he has pretty good coverage. So that's who I think they take here at 6 is Micah Parsons.
I could see that happening. I mean, the Eagles are also another one of those teams. Like, in the credit, they're sixth for partial reason, part for the fact that they just decided to blow a game purposefully, getting 3 spots up. For those that want to remember that happened. So thank you, Philadelphia. Doug Peterson's gone, and the front office management is harassed more than ever. However, I will say that defense could be a focus here. However, I'm not even saying they're picking here. They're getting traded back. Whoa. They're going backwards, my guys. They are going to give the Carolina Panthers a chance to jump up to 6. And they will take Justin Fields as their future QB. Teddy Bridgewater, I know the situation's kind of weird still with what they're going to do with him, but I'm thinking Justin Fields is a quarterback that there's a lot of talk about the system he comes from. It's Ohio State. He has the intangibles. I'm going to say that. He has the intangibles and the power behind that cannon to deliver any beautiful bombs you want downfield. However, I think the questions would be, of course, why he slips is about the system he comes from. I think Zach Wilson just getting a little more of the stardom in some of the press has helped too. But if you put him behind a guy like a Teddy Bridgewater, who's a consistent veteran, someone that knows the game, I think of it as almost like an Alex Smith meets Mahomes relationship. Just maybe it can develop into something. Bridgewater's not guaranteed to be there past this year. Obviously the Panthers did not like the production they got out of him. Fields would be a nice one to bring in. They could still use Bridgewater if they wanted as a bridge QB at that point, figuring out what they want to do. There'll be a team that will need someone like Bridgewater later on at a trade, maybe next year or later in the season if they want. And Fields will be sitting there pretty with a system that he can learn behind. And I think this fits. Carolina gets a little antsy, I think, too, because in my mock draft, Denver's also sitting there as well. They could also trade up if they wanted. I don't think maybe they think Detroit's a threat because even though Jared Goff's there, you never know if Jared Goff's truly a bridge or not. So I say he jumps, and I say that you get Carolina going there, taking the QB.
Hey,
it's my choice.
Bad choice.
So OHIO coming off the board.
Whoa.
Wow, that's an interesting pick for sure. Oh, I'm up on 7, aren't I? Okay.
Yes, sir. Good old Detroit Lions. Let's see what this year's coal into the fire is for these guys.
Good old Detroit Lions. Originally I was looking at, it's been a defensive draft minded. When I was doing this, I was looking a lot at needs, and a lot of teams seem to need edge rush help and all these other different areas on defense. But I got to thinking about Detroit, and they need some wide receiver help. Yeah. So this is where I think Devonta Smith goes. I think he comes in and he replaces Galladay, and you get him behind Jared Goff, getting bombs thrown from Jared Goff. I'm good.
Yes.
You mentioned Jared Goff, and he loves his tight ends. So this is where I think Kyle Pitts goes.
The double whammy of
Yeah.
Hawkinson and Pitts.
Yep.
That'd be taking a playbook out of like, say, New England Patriots.
Yeah.
If Matt Patricia was still there, of course. I know that he's not. Is not there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. He loves his tight ends, especially in the red zone and on goal line situations. And I mean, it makes sense. If he falls right to you right there, you almost got to take him right there. He's special. He really is.
You see, Michael, here's the thing with Pitts that I think is fascinating for the Lions here. So this is a team I would see if they wanted to convert him to a receiver. They just lost Kenny Golladay to free agency.
Yep.
A big, lengthy receiver like that. Pitts is kind of a big, lengthy tight end. Do you think that Detroit would be one that could pull the trigger on maybe trying to convert him?
I mean, they could. I mean, he's actually got pretty good speed. So I don't remember how, like, just on film, and like watching him on film, like he
sure
doesn't like pop off, but for a tight end, like, got some good speed. Like once he gets open, good separation, he's good. But you never know. Could lose a little bit of weight and go.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, I could see that. And honestly, I wasn't going to pick receiver at this point because I really thought they were going to retain Kenny Golladay, maybe on a reasonable contract or something along that line. I guess they looked at separate ways. So I'm going receiver 2, except I'm going the other Alabama product. I'm taking Jalen Waddle here. Here's the thing. Jamar Chase is still on my board at this point. It's just that for some reason my head's going, I think for some reason I think teams will just penalize him a little bit. Waddle and Smith, at least in the championship game, both impressed at different points. Waddle on the run to the championship really rose his stock in the college football playoff. So I think you want to talk at least a person that should be getting some interest as well. Waddle, I think here makes a lot of sense. Jamar Chase would be, I think, interchangeable to me too. But I'm with you guys. Lions need receiver help. They need to start building offense if you're going to give Goff anything, and especially if you didn't keep Kenny Golladay or Marvin Jones slipping out in free agency, which I get that too.
Yeah, I was between Waddle and Devonta Smith, and then I realized that during some of my trades, Devonta Smith could not be. I mean, you're the Heisman Trophy winner; you got to pick him up.
Yeah,
that's hard. It's hard choices here, and it's like I said, a lot of good receiver talent up top. Which, speaking of that said receiver talent, what in the hell is that? First,
it's a train somewhere.
Okay, I'm fine with. I needed to stop for a second. I'm like, what is this ominous music for me to tell you what my pick is?
I love it. I love it.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that was beautiful. Anyway, look, if that doesn't make it, that might make it the podcast version. This, I don't mind that. Honestly, that's just a good joke. Look, number 8 here. Who am I taking, man? I'll tell you who I'm taking. I'm also going to receiver because the Eagles in my draft, they jumped backwards. They didn't go for the 6th spot. There's still some good receiver talent at the number 8 pick. So you don't get Waddle. This is where you get Jamar Chase. You want top prospect, at least that, I think in this case he gets penalized a bit for sitting out. Credit, I understand the decision. I will say it again. But they get a bulky 6-foot receiver, someone that, they can, as we were talking earlier, make up for amends for drafting Rieger last year. 2 young receivers, at least, that they can get for Jalen Hurts now, or have developed for Jalen Hurts now. We're talking in the case of Rieger. And that's the big thing with the Eagles is they said they're committed to Jalen Hurts. So if you're doing that, you need to start getting assets to build with Hurts. And man, the Eagles do need a lot of pieces all around the board. I mean, Jalen Mills, I keep bringing Jalen's up, but Jalen Mills just went off in free agency too. Arguably your best defensive back for the Eagles. So, you have some options, but I think at this height in the draft, this is a case of, okay, what's best available? Also need receiver fits this mold. Jamar Chase, in my mind, will be here as this option. I think the Eagles pick up a solid potential franchise receiver here with Chase coming from LSU.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, even if Chase is gone, I think you could take Waddle there too. I mean, they're almost all interchangeable. Honestly, they're all very good. I think that this is where they take a quarterback, and I was very impressed about his pro day in Trey Lance. I really was. I think that they even could move up if they really like him, that they could trade up with Atlanta at 4 to go get him. But I think he falls right here at 8. I mean, as much as I would just love to watch him just roll over us 2 times a year, no, I would hate that. You know, I really think that owner David Tepper and Matt Rule are sick and tired of mediocre quarterback play, and they need to get their guy young, athletic. He almost reminds me of Cam Newton in a sense, the way he can run. I mean, he's almost built like him too.
Yeah.
He can run the ball. He can beat you with his arm. I mean, his pro day was, you guys saw me or heard me raving about him. So he's, I think he's the real deal. We'll see if it translates to the NFL. But this is where I got him going.
Well, some of the pro day shots kind of remind me of Josh Allen, just how it seems so easy for him to deliver down the field. You know, I'm wondering if he'll be a quarterback that's more of needs to develop the intermediate side, but you know, the strength of his arm is there.
Freaking lasers.
I know, as well as the mobility. I mean, great comparison. I didn't even think about that, but he kind of does remind me of Cam Newton, because Cam Newton kind of does the same thing. You know, he's maybe not this. I mean, Lance I think has a better arc than Newton has.
I agree.
Newton's kind of notorious for kind of trying to stream it down the middle. Doesn't really, it's risk of getting batted down or intercepted much easier. Mm-hmm. So, Lance I think it's like, it's almost like it is Josh Allen in that sense. Cause you take away that seamy type of pass, and then it's, Allen's kind of that way, better at floating it and definitely much of a runner.
Yeah.
To say the least. I'll go real quick here of my choice. Oh wait, I already did.
You already did.
Oh my God.
Let me jump in with mine then, I guess.
I'm talking too much. I am an airhead.
You're fine. I was waiting. My computer halfway froze at one point while you guys were talking, so I was like, all right, good. I just gotta wait for a cue or something. So, I don't think they go for a QB just yet. I think there's a few good. I mean, you've got Trey Lance, who's kind of a risky play because he had a great pro day, but how is he going to turn out? Yeah, Justin Fields, again, with the system issues of where he's coming from. I think that here is where they find that void that was left by kind of a Luke Kuechly type defender, except more on the edge side of it. I think they go with Kwity Paye out of good old that university up north.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The guy is freakish. He's got versatility. I think this is where they've been known as mainly a defensive team. And when Luke Kuechly left, there was a void, and nobody's really filled that void that was left behind. I think Paye is going to be the best option for them.
And we talk defense. I will say one thing here. Defense does win championships. John Gruden said that best. I would say. I'll tell you one thing. I do not have just to go revisit Trey Lance, which again I like Tony's pick too, because really the Eagles they're another team. It's kind of they're 6, but they really just need everything across the board. They're kind of patchworky right now. But looking at Trey Lance again, first off, interesting that Michael's going to muddy the waters here on the Jalen Hurts conversation just as they got rid of Carson Wentz. Secondly, though, I actually myself do not have Trey Lance on the rest of this board. He is one I see slip into the second round. Just my personal thoughts.
Okay.
Just thought I'd bring that up.
Second guessing where mine's landing now.
Because I leave him off, but I think he'll be an early second rounder. That's personal opinion here.
I found my notes. We're good.
Oh, good. I'm glad that got sorted out. Michael, looks like you are up next, my friend. The Broncos are on the
number
clock.
9 pick.
Oh, but It's not the Broncos for me, sir.
That's right.
It was the Broncos, but not anymore. It's my Birds right here at 9. And from trading back, not only do they get the 9th pick, I think they're going to get at least, at the very most, I think they're going to get a next year first rounder and maybe a late rounder in there somewhere. But I believe that they have to go defense. I think their secondary is atrocious, and I'm sick and tired of terrible players who should not be in Falcons uniform on defense, and they need to go corner here. And this is where I'm taking Patrick Surtain from. So I think he's always around the ball. He's constantly trying to punch ball out. It was either Caleb Farley or Surtain for me. I went Surtain. He has all the intangibles that I've seen. I like the way he plays. He's not that he is exactly like this player comp, but I think that he could be like a Jalen Ramsey type. He kind of comes off it like that on his highlights, and I just the way he's so fluid with his hips, and he just has that knack to be around the ball constantly. And I would love for Atlanta to finally have 2 really good corners on defense, because we're never known for defense ever. So it'd be nice to have him actually paired with AJ Terrell, who took a little bit of a leap last year. Towards late in the season, but they took a corner last year in Terrell in the first round, but you can never have too much defensive help. So I like this pick here.
As a Chicago Bears fan, I know that very much, although it's also expensive help too over in Chicago. Well, Tony, so we're not picking for the Falcons.
No, I'm not picking for the Broncos either, man.
Yeah, you're not either. I'm the only one picking for the Broncos on this one. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to wait for picking the Broncos at their spots. So.
Yeah. See, this is where I think the Jets get that wide receiver help to complement Robbie Anderson, to kind of give Sam Darnold another weapon out there. That's where they take Waddle at number 9.
All right. Now
quick, very quick.
Very much so.
Yes.
See, here's the thing though: is Corey Davis the 1 or the 2 in that scenario in your eyes?
Judging from what I've seen from Corey Davis in Tennessee, he wasn't the best there. You still had AJ Brown. I think Waddle offers more of that dynamic play. I think Corey Davis is more of like a you throw the ball to him, he'll catch it in a short yardage situation. I think Waddle is going to be the deep threat, and that Corey Davis is going to be the short threat, which is what they've needed to do all along. When Tennessee was using Corey Davis, they were sending him down the field, and he's a big wide receiver. You got to use him in the short yardage situations or in the slant routes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, I think this past year, it's not only it was great for Davis, just sidetracking here, but also just what could have been in his first few years in Tennessee, because he's going to get money to an extent with the Jets, but still you have to wonder if you're a Titans fan. You get your first season with him almost hitting that 1,000-yard mark, so just going to be a question mark for that most of that tenure. So I'm the only one picking the Broncos or having the Broncos here at this pick. I felt that I think that they're going to test the waters with Drew Lock a little bit more. That's why I didn't think they're going to be trading up or anything, and they'll just sit back, or they won't go for Trey Lance with this pick either. I'm just going to stipulate I do not have Trey Lance in the rest of my mock draft. So take that as you will. But I am going to say that they're going to bolster up the unit they've been best known for this past decade, and that's defensively. Unless you're talking Peyton Manning's years, I understand. But one of the main reasons they won in 2015, defense. Defense wins championships. They're going to take Micah Parsons here in this case. The Broncos, their strength as a unit is defensively in the AFC West. One of the main reasons they were able to keep pace with the Chiefs in their two matchups this year was their defensive prowess. I think that they build on that. I think that they give Drew Lock at least one more good old college try to develop and stay healthy, mind you. But I think defensively they build up a unit again, take a playbook from their 2015 championship run, and they take someone in Parsons who is a dominant linebacker, to say the least. Coming from Penn State, coming from that Big Ten conference, someone that made some waves at that position. He's going to be there. Broncos, I think, seal the deal, take him up for sure. Tony, it circles back to you, my friend. Your Dallas Cowboys.
How did I get my pick and Michael's pick? I don't fully enjoy this.
I didn't think through it that hard when I made the rotation pre-show. Like, I just decided that I didn't want to be going first to be, this is the podcast I host on. No, I did this. I did this to split it up, I swear. You get to pick yours. This is on you.
Oh man, this is where listen. You guys this last year on the podcast, what did I say we needed to draft?
Defense.
I think this is where Surtain goes, and holy crap, we have a cornerback that can actually play the game. I think now that Cheeto Babe got injured last year, he's getting paid by the Bengals. He's gone. We re-signed C.J. Goodson, which is great and all. But I think we take Surtain here.
And you know what? I also have Surtain because I think maybe, just maybe, the Jones family decides not to reach for an offensive weapon again after they've got CeeDee Lamb. What else are you going to fill in there? They're going to reach for Najee Harris that early?
Maybe they take Kyle Pitts. I don't know. Who knows with this family? It kills me because if they actually sit back and look at what the Cowboys needed last season, the reason we lost games and the reason Dak had to throw for 500 yards at one point is because our defense gave about 35 to 40 points a game. I mean, we won, and I'm going to bring it up, sorry, Michael, by the skin of our teeth against the Atlanta Falcons. And in reality, we shouldn't have won that game. So that had nothing to do with our offense. That had nothing to do with our defense. But you look at the rest of the season, you gotta finally fill that secondary spot. It's been a long time coming. We have our offense. We've still got Zeke. We've got Tony Pollard, who's actually emerging. You've got CD in the slot, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and even the tight ends are coming back. Jarwin's coming back from injury. The offense is set. You could take a lineman here, an offensive lineman. Yeah. That's fine. I'd be okay with that. But I think you need to fill the greatest need, and right now that is in the defense.
Yeah. I mean, Surtain's kind of the same thing for me. Like I said, it just makes sense. I think it just makes sense. Do not overthink this one. Finally invest in your defense in the draft again. Start building it up. You paid Dak. You got him locked down. You got weapons aplenty. I mean, for crying out loud, they finished 6-10 with the red rifle doing the best he could trotting out there or getting whacked around. And they have the QB and everything. Just get some defense, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Michael's championships.
Yeah, I mean, defense wins championships. John Gruden said it, although he hasn't really had it as the last few years in his end. Defense wins championships.
Yep.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
What you think that, Michael?
Yeah. Obviously I can't pick Surtain since Atlanta already stole them.
That's true. That's true.
So I'm going with Farley here. I mean, when I was watching what he did for Virginia Tech, I immediately thought of Peanut Tillman.
Yes.
He's always trying to force fumbles, and he did. And it would be so cool to see another one of those types of corners in the league again, because it doesn't seem like that's happening very much anymore. And that's what I really like about Caleb Farley. I mean, you could go either way with either one of them. They're both really talented, and yeah, I really like Caleb Farley.
Yep.
I like a guy that gets, down and dirty with the tackles if you're a cornerback, because there's a lot of cornerbacks that are the finesse types. They're all about the picks, whacking someone as they're in the most vulnerable spot at receiver position, which is becoming less and less, mind you, with the, of course, vulnerable, of course, with the receivers not having protection or getting more protection, if you will. I like guys that are down and dirty like that, and it brings a tear to my eye, unless it's an NFC North game against the Bears, where I see a cornerback that punches at the ball and I go, Peanut Tillman brought that, man. He brought that move. He in my mind's a Hall of Famer, which, it's a stretch. It can be a stretch argument, but I think he is. He changed that style of turnover.
That's my cornerback.
That's my cornerback. That's my cornerback, man.
My cornerback.
So Tony got the Cowboys. I get to get his rival with the Giants. And I think here, look, Daniel Jones, I thought he made steps last year. Not as much as I think Giants fans wanted, but strides into where I could say, hey, I see some flashes. This kid might have something if you get that team built better. I mean, they were 6-10, garbage division credit. I'm going to be honest.
It was competitive division in football. Let's go.
It was competitive. It was competitive division.
Had to.
You said 79 made the playoffs.
Hey, the Seahawks did that a couple years ago. I don't want to hear it.
The football team almost upset the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were the second best team in the NFL. Thus the division was the second best in the NFL. The Cowboys would have done the same too if they got in. No, oh my God, the Giants. Look, I'm just gonna say this real quick. Rashawn Slater goes here for me. Daniel Jones needs a little more protection. This is where he gets it. Gets a little more time to develop as a pocket passer. Surprisingly mobile, as we've learned last year, and when he can stay on his feet. But I think you want to see him develop in the pocket, and I think getting someone like Rashawn Slater, which of course Sewell was going to go early. Slater's the next available in my board, so slot Slater in for you. Get yourself a nicer built line. Gettleman gets to then concentrate elsewhere in that. But, Daniel Jones gets to progress. That's the main thing with a consistent O-line in front of him. Tony.
I'm with you. They need offensive line help, and this is where, Sewell and God, what's his name? They already went. I already said him. And Slater went in my draft already, so they're both gone. This is where I think you guys might be a little surprised. They need guard help, mainly. So I'm going with my boy out of the Ohio State University, Wyatt Davis.
Oh, well, all right.
Wow.
Because you think about what he did what he helped do in Columbus. Master Teague was behind, it was majority running back for the most of the season. Sermon came alive, especially later on. And you look at really where they ran, it was between really the guards, not even just between the tackles, between the guards. And Wyatt Davis was a main focal point. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but there's a pretty good running back in New York. His name's Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, he took a year off or something for injury, I think.
Yeah, you know where he likes to run? Kind of mostly up the middle. And then, you get a pulling guard in front of him. And then you get a pulling guard, Wyatt Davis, just saying.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, and I'm going to reference the rankings board, and I credit it's O-line in general. This isn't like position, but, Wyatt's a little farther down the CBS board. But I'm going to be honest, in between the tackles. And look, I watched Ohio State at the back end of that Northwestern game just mangle the Wildcats up front. I completely buy in if that's the choice, because I just get it. I get it. Sermon was helped so much by that front five. Might as well feed Barkley, a healthy Barkley too, by the way.
It would make the division really, really dynamic between who has pains me to say it because Saquon Barkley, they're in my division. So you would have the Barkley and the offensive line battle between that. I'd hate to see it because of the rivalry, but at the same time, it's the best fit for them.
Yeah. I mean, might as well give Barkley's coming. I think going to come back on kind of like a revenge tour from what it sounds like too. So,
oh yeah,
not completely against that one either. We got Michael.
At 12, right? Yeah.
11.
Oh no, at 11. Yeah. This is where I think you need. I mean, other than that, taking the guard thing, that's not outside. That's totally fine by me too. But I think they take a Jalen Waddle here. I like they could go a number of ways. Honestly, they could beef up their defensive line, or they can give Daniel Jones another weapon. I think you gotta give him another weapon. He wins the 50-50 balls from what I've seen, and he's he can make that offense into something special. I think kind of reminds me of like taking the top off the ball like Tyreek Hill does, but not like as fast. But he's got the speed. Like he can do it. So this is where I have him going.
Yeah, I if he slides down there, I think that one would fit too. Golden Tate leaves. Sterling Shepard is better as a number 2 in my eyes. You can't rely on Evan Ingram 100% of the time to actually catch a damn ball either. Right. So why not get a more sure-handed talent on the opposite side to go with that? And Michael, you were right. You do get the 12th pick. You get to pick for the guys over at the Bay.
Yeah.
The guys that were the infirmary ward, in my opinion, for the NFL season when it comes to injuries and everything. And also, in my quick opinion, a sleeper to make a quick rebound to be an NFC threat once again with a healthy roster in tow, no matter what happens to Jimmy G out there. So 12th pick, pretty reasonably high for the talent on that roster. Who's going there?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I think what they need to do is turn to defense and get a little bit more depth. I don't know if they're going to lose Richard Sherman or not, but I have him taking J.C. Horn here from South Carolina. I think he's very good coming out of South Carolina. He pops off on tape, and I'm not sure if Richard Sherman's going to be there. And he's been kind of battling injuries over the past couple of years. So, and he's kind of getting up there in age. Not saying he's dropping off, but it doesn't hurt to get younger on defense. And I like J.C. Horn. He's excuse me. He really stood out to me on film. He could be even better or compared to with Caleb Farley and Patrick Surtain. He's right there, and he's helped the Gamecocks win a lot of close games, and I really like that fit for them. And he'd be traveling across the country for sure to play for the Niners. So it wouldn't hurt to have another corner out there for them. So.
Well, I think I'm going corner with this one too, real quick. I am. It's also another guy traveling cross country, and that's going to be Caleb Farley here. This is Farley to me lands here compared to Surtain going to the boys. Again, as we talked about, scrappy, getting more into the weeds, if you will, but definitely is a fighter. Someone that I think Richard Sherman fits the bill, and I think they move on from Sherman and they upgrade that position. Sherman's lost a few steps the last 2 years. Not poking any fun or trying to poke too much, but I mean, we remember 2 years ago or last year in February with the Super Bowl, how it seemed like he was getting blown by, and then injury issues I think are catching up to him as well with last season. He still thinks he has some gas in the tank, and that's completely fine. I just think that for the 49ers and where they're at as more of a youth movement team, kind of want to fill in that spot with more of a youthful guy that they, especially with the height of this pick. So Farley kind of just slides into where Sherman used to be.
Yeah, I agree completely. That's exactly who I had dropping at 12. Even if they retain Verrett or they go drafting, if they do both, I think they needed second next to Verrett. I think Farley's the best fit for them. And like you said, Zach, they have a chance to be just as contending in the NFC West when they're all healthy.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to them. They're a sleeper. It just makes me wonder what's going to happen. The West is going to be so much goddamn fun to watch, and now that Wilson, as of this recording, is not going to Chicago anymore because they just flat out denied him going to Chicago, even though Chicago said they were going to give the Seattle Seahawks the deal of a lifetime. They said he's not available. So, it's going to be a fun division. It might also be a fun division if this team takes a leap is who Tony gets to pick here, and it's not as fun of a catchy theme song anymore that it used to be with Boomer. The LA Superchargers that used to be in San Diego.
Good old San Diego / LA Superchargers. Let's be honest here; they're always going to be the San Diego Chargers to everybody. They may have switched and they may have ostracized San Diego, but they're always going to be San Diego Superchargers, especially in my heart. With that being said, I think they, again, go defense to complement Bosa. I think they take Christian Barmore from Alabama. I think he's going to be the best fit to complement him, and I think it's going to bolster that already pretty good defense.
Yeah.
Not a bad choice, and they do need help there. That is a place. A lot of close losses last year. Kind of a pattern for the Chargers too, so I have no problem with that choice. Michael, I was hearing you. Who you got?
I like that pick actually. I didn't go with that, but that does make a lot of sense. You might as well beef up the D line and do what you can do because you got to get to those quarterbacks in that division, especially the one in Kansas City. So you might as well beef it up and. I went offensive tackle here from Virginia Tech, Christian Darrisaw. Yeah. I mean, you're going to pair him with newly acquired Christian Lindsley from Green Bay. They just signed as the highest paid center in all of football, or actually ever, I believe. And
I believe you're right.
Yeah. And I mean, which is great. I mean, if you got the money, you might as well spend for a premier talent on the offensive line. So why not bring Darrisaw in and help on that line to help protect your future investment in Herbert and give him even more time to throw in the pocket and get to those weapons that he's got. So you might as well protect the future. So that's what I got.
Well, I think you should protect the future too, because I'm also going lineman here, and actually, you and I, according to this is to the CBS board I'm referencing here, we're going to be choosing the 3 and 4 picks here, because Slater and Sewell will both be off the board at this point. I'm taking the guy that's actually below Darrisaw here. I'm going with Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. I'll take him to go to the Chargers to shore up that offensive line. Look, if one thing I've learned about that we've all learned about the NFL, I mean, quarterback was already important. But now it's just that's the pinnacle. You can win games alone with just a solid QB, which I think the Chargers learned last year. Justin Herbert, I think accelerated the progress of what the Chargers could have been because a lot of people thought they were going to finish even higher up on this draft list than they were, finishing at 7-9. And they lost a lot of close games too. They could have been a playoff team if they had just been able to finish a few games at that case. And Herbert, give him a little more protection. He's got some weapons out there, of course. Credit Hunter Henry is gone. But, hey, Donald Parham, I'm going to rep an XFL guy here. That guy is a solid tight end. I think he's going to take some steps. That's a prediction I have right now for this season is he'll be someone that will be on the radar fantasy-wise as well as for tight ends around the league. So I'm definitely taking Vera Tucker, shore up that offensive line with Lindsley as well being paid, and, make it rain from behind the pocket.
I hear you, man.
That's what I'm saying. Make it rain, baby. And now I get to talk one of the NFC North rivals, not the dreaded yellow and green guys out there in Wisconsin, the neighbors up north in the Twin Cities, the Minnesota Vikings. Who are they going with at this position? Well, man, they have a young defense that was coming on strong at the end of the season. And if I had to put my money on Mike Zimmer to pick anything, it's going to be defense for this, just to shore it up. Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins at this point. They're paying him money. They decided to keep on sinking cash into him for some reason. They got Dalvin Cook to save Cousins from being a complete train wreck and having to carry that team. Justin Jefferson came out of nowhere to help with Adam Thielen, so makes them look smart for getting rid of Stephon Diggs. So let's get the defense shored up. And in that case, give me Jalen Phillips to go in for that position, shore up the defensive end spot for the Vikings, give them a better pass rush presence that they have been lacking at least last year and at least in recent years prior, and bring that defense back up to snuff so that they can compete with the Green Bay Packers. That's really who their main competition is, because honestly, Chicago's not going to be there in my eyes. Detroit's definitely not going to be there. If they're there, then wow. Dan Campbell has been doing some impressive things in the offseason, or his training program is insane. Zimmer's got to be looking at this and going, we had a down year, but if we're going to take the Packers, it's going to be now or never to get this restarted. So, give me Phillips, shore up that front seven, and so that they can especially go after Rodgers and make sure he's not destroying them and having to have him play catch-up ball, if you will, with Kirk Cousins.
I like it.
I do too. I ended up also taking I took an edge rusher as well, but I took that one from that northern state above Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
A team up north.
Team up north.
Yeah. I got Kwity Paye going here. He's got everything you need physically, and he can be every down problem for NFL teams. And, he's got really nice technique, and he's got a really good bull rush. And, it's just, I'm just kind of somewhat concerned that he never really put it all together at Michigan. So, he's shown he can do wonders with coaching. But hey, Mike Zimmer is a pretty good coach, especially for defense. So, I think they definitely could use some more pass rush, and they got to get to that quarterback from Green Bay. So
you got to get some pressure on him.
Yeah. So Skull Nation gets themselves a little edge rusher here.
It makes sense, especially considering they at one point last year traded Everson Griffin to the Cowboys, and then he was eventually, later.
Later, Gator.
I actually went offense on this one. This is where I think Elijah Vera Tucker ends up fitting, because I feel like they needed a little bit of protection for Kirk Cousins and a little bit of a run blocker for Dalvin Cook. It makes it a little bit easier for him to break those loose. I think he just fits the scheme in Minnesota better. I would have put him higher than Davis, but if I'm looking at fit, Davis fits better for me in New York, and Elijah Vera Tucker fits better here for me.
Well, and again, they've sunk so much money into Kirk Cousins, and now with Dalvin Cook too, of course, being their focal point. You might as well just, if you want to double up, and their defense made progress at the end of last year. So Mike Zimmer obviously was making some adjustments. Their season, continue to invest in Kirk Cousins. Why not? And you continue to run wild, and maybe next year Dalvin Cook finally gets to get some better recognition than he did last year. So why not? Michael, you get to pick the down but not out New England Patriots, the big spenders, the guys that decided to go to the mall and blow their entire stimulus check on everyone. Because they bought everything.
They literally did, and I'm glad that my pick has really not a whole lot of impact on that. So, yeah, they went out and got the two best tight end prospects, or not prospects, free agency tight ends in free agency. So they went and spent money on that, and defense and wide receivers and all that. And I have them taking Justin Fields here.
Okay.
I do.
He slips all the way to 15, huh?
Yes, I think so. I think he could do very well with learning behind Cam Newton. They're not the same build, at least it doesn't seem like it anyway, but they're similar type of players, and the way they can run the ball, they could hurt you with their arm too. And they get their little prospect that, the one that slipped away in Jimmy G, traded away. But I think they get a good one here. And I mean, I don't know if he'll start right away because Cam's still there. What are you gonna do? And they just paid him another year or whatever. But hey, a little bit of learning didn't kill nobody. So I like Fields going here.
Oh man, that was one that snuck in my mind if maybe they could trade up for him just for all the offensive weapons they bought in free agency. So I just don't know. They gave Cam Newton another $14 million, so I'm just kind of like on the fence if maybe they're still trying to buy in. Right. It's tough. It's tough. They Bill Belichick, I think, just said, "I'm done. I don't want to be sitting outside the playoffs again." And so, why not spend this year, right?
Exactly. More than like 10 years. So.
Yeah, dominant AFC East too. You got to catch up with pretty much everyone else except a team from New York City in that division, mind you. I'm going defensively on this. I think they need some linebacker help. So, with Parsons off the board, I'm going to the Georgia product, and I'm going to probably butcher this name. Do you know how to pronounce it?
I do.
Can you do it for me? I do not have faith whatsoever in this name.
Azeez Ojulari.
I maybe would have got that. Maybe I was overthinking it. Azeez sounded right.
Yes.
After that, Ojulari, maybe not. But Thank you, Michael, thank you for being my pronunciation on YouTube, if you will, because I would have easily done that. Thanks. But I'm going with the Georgia product. Look, if it's not Alabama with Nick Saban's crew, Kirby Smart out in Georgia, they're bringing an excellent defensive program. Most SEC schools, or if it's not anyone that's maybe like an Ohio State or a Penn State, maybe Michigan, you're going to be looking to those guys for defensive products generally, or those schools in that conference. And Ojulari just brings it, sophomore, bit younger, but has the intangibles. Georgia knows how to make them well. And if one thing I know about Bill Belichick is defensive background, of course, defense wins championships. I think he knows that very well. He's also a guy that, remember, he had 24 opt-outs or up to 20 opt-outs last year on his own roster. A lot of those were defensive, but they still do lack in the linebacker department, in all honesty. So why not invest, get the second best linebacker in the draft, or at least according to CBS Sports and some other boards, and go with a guy that is from a school that's proven to generate defensive talent like Georgia. So I say build it up. You spent on the offense. Let's draft the defense.
I like it.
Yeah, it makes sense too. I'm actually with Mike on this. Justin Fields going to the Patriots. As much as it pains me to say, I can't think of a place I'd hate to see Justin Fields go more than New England, because it's New England, But I just look at what they've filled in free agency and how you can technically make a case that Cam is on the downside of his career, downside of his peak. They are similar. I would say that Justin Fields has a lot better of a deep ball than Cam does, to the point where I think you're looking at somebody who can easily take over. Fields is a little bit mobile, but he's also not afraid to stand in that pocket and take a hit, as we saw in the national championship game, especially, or he's not afraid to run and take the hit either as well. So I think they take Fields here, and I think they, as much as it hurts me to say it, because I think Fields is higher than Trey Lance. I think that a pro day is just a kind of one-off where you can showcase your best skills. I think if you look at the report card of how consistently a player has played and what they bring to the table, Justin Fields could have easily taken that hit and then been done for the rest of the game. But he came back and he fought. So to me, that's a guy you want to have at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely know you're very you being the Buckeyes fan yourself, very prideful of course, a Buckeye. But look, I'm going to be honest with you. I hope he succeeds. I'm more the guy that's the prove it guy right now. You know that. We've talked about Justin Fields. I'm very much saying, okay, you go to where you want, prove it to me that, especially Ohio State's recent track record of QBs. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Prove it to me coming out of Ohio State. He was going to go to Georgia originally, but, Kirby Smart was of course was in love with someone else at the time.
Thanks.
It's just how it is. So Ohio State got Mr. Fields instead. I'm saying prove it. That's my thing. But good Lord, if the Patriots land Justin Fields or like a Trey Lance or something like that, it's just like it's a complete rebirth of the evil empire, the dark side of the Warriors, I think.
It really is, and we don't want it to happen, but it's pretty likely to happen.
And something Justin Fields does he's probably like the only quarterback that I've seen probably since Russell Wilson. He goes and blocks for his receivers, and
yes.
I saw that watching his highlights, and I was like, oh my God, that's Fields. No, you don't see that. Russell Wilson is probably the only one that I've seen do that in quite some time. And that, I think that speaks volumes, honestly. But I mean, with injury wise, I would probably stay away from that. But I mean, the guy's got a knack to play. And if he's going to go and block for your running back to get 5 more yards, hell, I'm all for it.
Gritty.
I'm good for a locker room guy too.
Yeah.
And that screams locker room guy to me.
That's so true.
Got to mesh well with the team you're going to. We don't want any Ryan Leafs in here that just go and fight their teammates.
No.
No.
I don't want him on that list of Ohio State quarterbacks. I don't. He can't be associated with Dwayne Haskins and Troy Smith and all them. No way.
I definitely don't want either, especially how Haskins has gone down his path. But yeah, I mean, I credit, he can rebound if he wants, but I'm just saying, if you break that cycle, prove it to me is all I'm saying.
And honestly, the best system to break that cycle is the Patriots. If you look at it, they're pretty good at developing those quarterbacks. So it pains me to say, but yeah, he's one of the ones that, if you look at Braxton Miller in the past, if you look at Terrell Pryor, those guys weren't fully quarterbacks. Justin Fields is a quarterback, and I think he's right. You need to prove it, and I think the best place to do it is the Patriots. And then if the Patriots decide to, for some reason, move past you, go prove it someplace else too.
A lot of stability if he goes down that far. Tony, we're going to round out the first half of this draft. Man, 16 picks. We got another 16 after this. Not trying to sound like we're going to drag the night on like crazy as we're recording, but I mean, man, like I said, we're doing this whole thing. Last year we did top 10, so this is our first year we're going to be doing all 32 as a reminder. And again, if you're on unhingedsn.com, don't worry, there's going to be the podcast version, like I said, that'll have all 32, but we're going to, for this version, at least of the show, cover as much as we can. So, stay with us or move on to the podcast and go and scroll on down, if you will. But Tony, you get the the boys in the desert with the Cardinals. Again, crazy to think that the Cardinals have went out to Phoenix. Remember, they used to be the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cardinals, and they went to the desert and decided, let's keep the Cardinals name because I don't think are there Cardinals in Arizona? I don't know if there are.
There might be. I don't know. I don't know how bird migratory patterns happen. It seems like the cardinal is the state bird of every state around the United States. So I don't know. Maybe.
Awesome.
With these guys, we talked about it earlier, and you talked about it specifically, Zach. That we think teams are going to penalize this player for taking last season off, and I think where Arizona needs to do is put a solid number 2 outside of DeAndre Hopkins. This to me is where Jamar Chase falls to, is at number 15.
Whoa, buddy.
That is kind of a sexy location to go if you're talking going out with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, and
and Fitzgerald.
I saw a report that said if you count him out and you piss him off, it's the worst thing you can do because it makes him hungrier for it. And you know what? Taking that year off, having teams penalize you for taking that year off to focus on the draft, and then going to Arizona, oh man, that's a feast.
Oh, Kyler is going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh,
Kyler should be happy. DeAndre had the most targets, and nobody on that rest of that wide receiver core had even half of that. So if you can get somebody like Jamar Chase to be that number 2, who do you cover?
It's hard to say.
I think you got to go.
That's tough.
Then
I mean, even Christian Kirk took steps last year at the slot, and I mean, he was a threat himself.
That's true.
God, that'd be nuts. I almost makes me wish I would have moved Chase down farther just to get that. Nice move, Tony. Nice one. I like it. But you know what person they're most likely losing in free agency that's been a long-standing Pro Bowler, all-pro talent, the guy that you just expect to be on that defensive side of the ball?
Oh, I mean,
Patrick Peterson.
Oh, yes.
Is going to be most likely out of town from what it sounds like. So, you know, there's some good DBs on the board. Mine, of course, already has Farley and Surtain gone. This is where J.C. Horn comes into play. And the Cardinals pick up, and they fill in a secondary that's needed a little more speed. Peterson's lost a few steps his last few years. And as much as all the contributions he has had with the Arizona Cardinals, he had in recent years talked about moving on. So, you know, Horn, I think, slots in. You get your solid corner on that side, and you start building that defense up. You know, I think a lineman could be here too. You know, Kyle Murray getting a little more protection. But, man, I'm still going to go back. Like I said, Tony's pick of a receiver, if Jamar Chase slides down to Arizona, I'm gonna be reacting beyond belief. That's a good one. Yeah. Oh my God. I like I said, Horn makes sense, but Jesus, I can't get past it. Michael,
trap.
Good Lord, Michael, who do you have in this? I'm just stuck on Chase Landing here.
I actually did go defensive lineman here, and with Christian Barmore from Alabama. And could you just imagine him paired right next to newly acquired J.J. Watt, along with Son Riddick? That defense, though.
We ain't forgetting Chandler Jones now, are we?
No. Him too. And, I mean, I don't know if they're going to lose Patrick Peterson this offseason. I mean, they might. He's getting up there in age, but, I mean, if they do let him go, I like J.C. Horn there too. But yeah, I think Christian Barmore, he balled out in the national championship game and the semifinal as well. So you can't knock the guy for being what he is. I mean, that Alabama is literally a defensive lineman factory. You know, they just keep shelling them out, and they seem to always keep going to Washington for some reason. But you know, I really like this pick here, and it not only will boost his playing in that defense, but it'll help them. I think it'll make them even a top 10 defense, if they even already were. They had the two leading sack producers in the NFL, so why not go get some more help?
Right. And they also, even the Cardinals, they just re-signed Marcus Golden back too, who has had a bit of a resurgence himself. 2 years, actually pretty modest deal, 2 years, $5 million was the deal there. So, you know, get a bit more rotation with him. But, you know, they need a little bit they need something on the other side, you know, more Arizona need consistency. So maybe adds a bit.
Yeah.
Barmore, I mean, they build him well in Alabama for a defensive line. I mean, come on. We talk Georgia. Alabama's the one that you're going. If you're like, I'm buying luxury, like model, I'm going Alabama for those choices.
I hear you. That's why I went.
I'm just saying, man. I get to talk John Gruden's squad. So, as we've said, defense wins championships. John doesn't have consistency at defense. He likes to play mind games, I think, with Raiders fans on if Derek Carr is going to get traded or not for some reason. You know, dude puts up, you know, back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons, but still is getting talked about. He's going to be shipped out of town. That makes sense. Anyway, though, the weakest point of the John Gruden era has been defensive building, if you will. They need defense in some way. They need to finally start slowing down some of these AFC West offenses and get a little more consistent to where Derek Carr doesn't have to be a hero every other game, if you will. So this is where I say Christian Barmore goes. They need to dominate the front seven. You know, they need someone to be the bully, Barmore fits that bill. He comes from a school that fits the bill for what the attitude is for defensive linemen out there. And I think Gruden gets someone that shores up the middle, if you will, for a leaky run defense that was the Las Vegas Raiders. See, I almost did that. I actually am surprised I didn't do that with the Chargers, but I'm telling you, man, Barmore, this is where I think he lands. You know, Gruden needs to start building up that D. I know he had a 10-year deal when he signed on with the Raiders, but, you know, he needs to start producing some winning seasons, pal. And defensively, they got to start building up to get that going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
That's totally fair, Zach. I also am thinking defense, but I think they go with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Oh, yes.
Out.
Yes.
Where? Notre Dame University.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's right.
I think he brings them that balance of run and pass, and I think that he is the next best off the board. I know we've talked about Aziz. I don't have Aziz going yet, so I think Jeremiah is the best next, or the next best available. So I think if they take it, Chucky can go back again to his old mantra of defense wins championships.
There you go.
He needs to, man. Oh my God. They build him well too in Notre Dame. You know, it's not as recognized, I think, still. I think for some reason they're still labeled as a tight end factory, but you know, defensively, front seven wise, Notre Dame's another school you got to watch out for.
Yeah, I agree. I do too have a linebacker going here. Mine dropped a little bit from where your guys' was, and I have Micah Parsons going here.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah, and
I forgot about him, didn't you?
Just slipped away a bit.
Right. You know, I think he slips a little bit here because of the off the field issues. There was like some hazing stuff going on at Penn State, and I feel like in my opinion, going to drop a little bit just for that reason. And I think the Raiders are going to feast on this because I mean, he's a very, very, very good talent, and just for something like that to happen, I mean, there's a little bit of a risk there. Yes, I see, but I mean, the talent is there. And if anyone's going to take a risk on someone like that, it's going to be Chucky. So you might as well take one of the. I mean, he was a top 5 pick at one point before all this stuff happened. So he's just an impact player, and I think the Raiders get a good one.
This wouldn't be the first time Chucky also reaches or maybe changes up what we expect for him to draft. You know, it's kind of been his tenure so far, not only in free agency, but also in drafting, at least in the first round, you know, especially when we talked about the Mac trade, his first season and what they got back for him, which is endless debate anymore between Raiders and Bears fans on Twitter. Jesus Christ. I can go all night with some of the tweets I get from those guys, but I would not be surprised if it's like a freak choice for me either. He's a wild card. He's just a wild card in the draft, I tell you. But I swear, if he does not go defense, it's kind of like talking about Jerry Jones. Like, if you don't go defense, and you start investing harder into this and finding solid guys in the draft to start building this, you are going to be. I mean, Gruden's a little better staying, I think, in his job. But like, dude, this is year 3, man. Like, let's start making some progress past 8-8 now, okay? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, man. You know, and I mean, like it's a 10-year deal. You know, it keeps feeling longer for fans the less you get into the playoffs, which is right now a big fat 0. You know who's right on the doorstep and is the final team that didn't make the playoffs that's in this draft in a draft spot for playoff contenders? That sounded dumb, but it came out like that. I am okay with how that sounded. The Dolphins are sitting at the 18th spot. Michael, they just missed the playoffs basically by getting annihilated week 17 by the Buffalo Bills, because I think the Bills just wanted to set an example for doubters for some reason, and give people frights about Tua's career. The Dolphins sit here. Brian Flores and company have an enticing pick ahead after they got their third, at least for some of us, got their third pick.
Yeah, I actually have Tony's previous pick going here, Jeremiah going here, So, yeah, I mean, the guy won the Butkus Award, and you can't discredit that. So he's obviously doing something in South Bend there. So, and even though he's not a prototypical size for a linebacker, he's got the speed, and that some coaches are going for that now, and especially trying to contain running backs nowadays. And it seems like the game just keeps getting faster and faster. So why not get a linebacker? It looks like he measures out at like 215 pounds, which whatever. But Darius Leonard played like he played at that weight this year, and Darius Leonard's a pretty good football player. Last time I checked, so yeah, so I'm gonna put him there. I mean, you can't discredit what he's already done at Notre Dame, so I think he'll fit nicely in Brian Flores' defense.
Great minds think alike, Michael, because I have him too. I am going as well with the Notre Dame product, Butkus Award winner as well. Main reason I like this selection, I like the new up and coming linebacker safety hybrids. Thinking like a Deion Buchanan. I'm thinking like an Isaiah Simmons. Funny how those are both Cardinal players I'm randomly coming up with, but I like Deion Buchanan in particular. That stuck out to me where I was like, man, a hybrid role. You can just kind of move him around the field. He can be good in coverage, but he also is great at blitzing, and he can also stop the run really well. He has the size and length. Jeremiah Oswald-Koromoa, because I have to try and pronounce that at least once, so I'm not cheating. Is indeed what that sounds like as a prototypical player, or as a prototypical player in that setting. I think with the Dolphins, might as well keep building up. Offensively, like I said, with my mock, you already shore up your receiver position when you get Devontae Smith, and you already have Devontae Parker. Funny how you get both Devontaes on the opposite sides. That would be confusing to talk about later. But get the defensive product while you're at it at number 19, and get a guy that hybrid. I think a hybrid player like that, or a Darius Leonard, a Deion Buchanan. I think you get a good guy like that can go all around the field. That's a very valuable asset, and might as well invest in someone that has that range of talent.
It's a good pick. I mean, that's the thing is I flip flop between him and the Dolphins and the Raiders on him so much today because it's tough. You could really kind of put either one of my 17, 18 are really interchangeable. I'm going with Joseph Osai out of Texas.
Okay.
They just lost. Remind me of who his name is. To free agency. He went to the Patriots.
Oh my God. I'm trying to think here. Oh my gosh, I am totally spacing on this.
Van Noy's still there.
Yeah, well, because Van Noy they were trying to trade, but they released.
Yeah, there was somebody that ended up in the Patriots. I don't remember off the top of my head, but anyways. Losing him adds that extra, need for the Dolphins. And I think Osai, with a guy who is relentless at getting the quarterback, who is just go, go, go. He's the guy you want to have, especially on third and longs of, he's coming. You better be prepared. You better get that ball out. I think this is a good fit for Miami. I think it really bolsters their defensive line. Like I said, my first pick for them was offensive line. My second pick for them is defensive line. We're all about balance here.
Hey, I'm for it. We're all for it.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Thanos is going to live on forever in pop culture. I think that's just confirmed. Best villain.
We're going to keep him alive in the sporting industry just because of the fact that we keep using him in about teams and using the gif of him holding that blade of it being
My favorite one is what did you do? And it's a sacrifice. What did it cost? Everything.
Or in the case of the Houston Texans, we traded away DeAndre Hopkins. What did we get back?
Nothing.
A bag
and a used napkin.
You have both your potential starting running backs this year, which Mark Ingram, back end of his career, mind you, but both more 1-year deals. I'm just saying, a lot of 1-year deals going to Houston. I don't know what they're doing anymore.
Yeah.
I think they're living in a fantasy land, if you will. Everything is okay. Nothing's going wrong.
It's fine.
I pay no attention to the person behind the curtain. They're all good.
On that note.
On that note, indeed. Oh my god.
I get to take that 19th pick. I really kind of was mapping it out as we were going from like when I picked at 10, and I was really hoping that I would be able to pick all three of ours, and I'm really kind of sad that I wasn't able to, because the Bears are at 20 and I have to pick the 19th.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, you've got Scary Terry, you've got Fitzmagic now going in there under center. Heineke's going to have to compete with him for it. I think what you add to that offense, as much as it pains me to say as a Cowboys fan, is Kadarius Toney from Florida. I think that he's going to be a great accent to Terry McLaurin, because he's basically Terry McLaurin. He has a threat for deep, but he's also a good guy to have underneath. I think it's one of those things where it'd be a great 1-2. It would be abysmal for my boys to have to go up against if we don't draft a cornerback. But I think it's, again, I got to throw my fandom out the window, and I got to go with what fits best. And where they've needed help is they need somebody to complement Terry McLaurin, because if he goes down too, you need somebody to pick up the reins.
Fitzmagic or Taylor Heineke is going to be throwing to him. With last we heard with Fitzpatrick's 1-year deal, I'm going to switch back and forth to that name. It's a 1-year deal, $10 million. Heineke got an $8 million deal for 2 years, so a little bit of competition. Whoever's going to throw, they're going to need an extra weapon. And I'm with you, Tony. I think it's a receiver. I'm actually reaching down to Rashad Bateman here to go with as a choice. Lengthy, 6'2", 210-pound guy. Tall target there for whoever's throwing the ball, because even though like Fitzpatrick has his moments, and I'm talking moments in both positive, negative, Fitzmagic's one thing, but there's reasons why he hasn't stuck. He can be a consistent. So you're going to need someone that can make those tough catches, if you will, for him. McLaurin, we know, is very much capable of doing so. Let's give someone like a Bateman that case as well. I think that, getting a bit tall or lengthy. I know he's on the CBS board, he's a little lower in the rankings, but, like, for example, I don't like Rondale Moore, very talented individual. I just think that, at least the size credentials, which I feel bad because I'm sometimes not about the sizes and everything in the NFL, especially in draft, but in draft wise too, I think Bateman, for what I think you'd look for in a prototypical receiver, and for his production, I think he best fits here, is how I go with it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I made my pick based off when Fitzmagic was not there. So I originally had Mac Jones going here.
Oh,
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah. And now I think a wide receiver makes even more sense now, because now that room's even more crowded with Haskins. Lord knows where he's going to go. But if Fitzmagic's there, that's a good person to learn under. I know they gave all that money to Heineke, but Mac Jones. It just seems like he'd be a good fit for him. I think learning under Fitzmagic and that offense, and he's so good in the pocket, and we saw it all in the college football playoff and really the whole season. And he just has a really good game, and I think people are not saying that he is. I'm putting emphasis on this. He is not Brady in any way, except for the way that he carries himself in the pocket. He takes the hits. He's got great feet. He doesn't scramble at all. He gets through his reads and he gets the ball gone. And you can't really ask very much more of a quarterback to do if you want to throw in the running part of it. But he's a very traditional type of quarterback, and I feel like Washington is very. They've been struggling to find that quarterback for quite some time, since RG3, and I think they could get a good one here in Mac Jones. And he's a winner. So
Man, and Mac Jones, I think he is very enticing. It's a 1-year QB. Alabama is, of course, the other question mark. I mean, Tua is in the NFL and has been a prospect last year, but still with some questions. So it just kind of added some doubt to the Alabama program, if you will. And Alabama's been kind of one-offs with QBs anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's enticing. I mean, he put up an excellent season nonetheless, but one of my buddies on Beyond the Press Box will tell you first. He'll go, yeah, but he also had Waddle and Smith.
I was.
What
are you gonna do?
I mean, that's the thing. It's like you're in a receiver factory in Alabama, so of course you get to throw to some of the best prospects in the nation.
Right. Exactly.
It's hard to put it past that,
Right.
But man, I could see it. I still could see it. It's not crazy,
right?
I mean, they're also. Keep in mind too, and I'm sorry to interrupt here. I mean, Washington's been pretty $18 million between two QBs. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
That sounds like Bridges. Someone doesn't have a consistent spot right now.
Right. It doesn't seem like someone's locked up for the future, and I feel like, I mean, yes, Heineke had a breakout game in the playoff. What are you gonna do about that? I mean, I don't think he is the long-term answer, and obviously Fitzmagic isn't either because he only got a 1-year deal. So, I mean, why not bring in a guy and you could groom him the way you like him and see what happens? I don't know. You never know. You never know.
Groom him. Why not groom him? You never know. It's like why not? Or who the hell knows? I get to. By the way, as we move on, who the hell knows? I didn't know I was going to be talking Chicago first. By the way, so I'm on the clock. I landed that kind of like how Tony somehow got to talk of course, the Dallas Cowboys. He got to steal, of course, from Michael, but Michael got to talk about his picks technically. So we all get to have our choice. Ain't that incredible? Somehow that all landed in the right spots. I feel like I did that on purpose, even though Michael actually did that himself and made it land all right. So more of the credit goes to him. Bravo, good sir. I get to talk Chicago, which didn't do anything really at the QB except they picked up Andy Dalton on a 1-year deal. Because that was the thing. We needed him. We need the red rifle.
That's right.
Of course. Why not? I mean, if you fail at Wilson, if you can't get Watson, Andy Dalton, he's sitting there. So that room, that QB room is basically two backups that are fighting over who gets the ball.
Hey, potential.
Oh my goodness. So originally I structured this as like, well, I guess we can get it to protect the quarterback. But you know what? I'm saying screw it. I'm changing this on the fly. I originally had Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama. But screw it. I'm taking Mac Jones. They need someone. Okay. I don't trust Ryan Pace whatsoever. But forget about it. Just go with it. You're gonna get, my opinion, you're gonna get fired at the end of the year anyway if you don't win. Might as well be like, you know what, Mac Jones. That makes sense. We're drafting the QB. We're already being cheap on the QB anyway, with the exception of Nick Foles. Just go for Mac Jones. Who cares? Am I right? We'll figure it out. No, my sanity says Leatherwood though, just to say let's protect the QB and also give David Montgomery a better chance at running the ball more consistently because they found their groove with him last year at the end of the year. But my insanity complex is just saying let's go Mac Jones and just get the QB out of the way. We're at 20. But one of those two, something will go right for him for the Bears. Why not? Something will go right for either one. They're interchangeable, whatever mindset I'm in for the day.
I appreciate that, Zach. A lot of times we all sit here and we mock and, we have a set plan. And I applaud you for just saying, you know what?
Screw it.
Let's throw caution to the wind. I'm with you on trying to get a quarterback because obviously that's the biggest need. Because you can't rely on Trubisky, you can't rely on Nick Foles, and who knows about Andy Dalton, let's be honest. To be fair, I didn't even think about Mac Jones going here. This is where I thought either Trey Lance falls or they take an offensive lineman. So if I got to commit to one of these, I'm going to go with lineman because that's what I'm going to default to. I think they take Christian Darrisaw. I think he's going to be able to protect in the pass regardless of who's back there. And it kind of sets them up for that future, too, of you have a good, solid, offensive lineman to protect whoever's back there. Whether they do draft Mac Jones, whether it's whoever's behind under center, they're going to be protected. And I think that's the biggest key because then if they don't do well next year, then there's a chance they can get a quarterback in that draft. But then they've got an offensive line that quarterbacks can feel comfortable going to.
Yeah. Sanity pick.
Grinding
line sanity pick, like hang on a little longer.
I'll bring you back from the edge. Don't worry.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Michael.
I had Rashad Bateman going here.
All right. I can see that too.
I do like him out of Minnesota. He very physical wide receiver, and I feel like they've been searching for someone to complement Allen Robinson so much through the draft. I know they drafted Anthony Miller, and he's more of a deep threat, kind of pop the top off the defense kind of player. But Rashad Bateman, he's very good, and he can play inside, he can play outside. He explodes out of his routes, very speedy. I feel like he's just scratching the surface of what he can potentially do. He can honestly be one of those types of Justin Jefferson types of players who comes out of nowhere and makes all the teams before that didn't pick him to they're going to regret not picking him earlier. I really think he can be something really special next to Allen Robinson. And hey, give whoever's under center, give him another weapon. Why not?
Whoever is there. Good. God, because they aren't going to get Wilson at this point. That is so disappointing today. If Schefter if Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport just held off a few days, don't just bombard me with two pieces of news like that and say, well, they went for Wilson, but they then just settled for Andy Dalton. That just makes it so much more hopeless over here. Oh my God. And you know what? I should add into the receiver thing. Anthony Miller is actually on the trading block as of this episode. So you could definitely need someone to fill in because Darnell Mooney is the number 2, I would say. Allen Robinson, though disgruntled right now and hasn't signed his tag, and I understand why, by the way. I would be totally with his position, draft a receiver that could also step in. Might be a bad choice. Or you have a great 3-wide set. So why not? Invest in that spot. And at the very least, just get rid of Javon Wims because, dear God, I don't want him fighting anyone or dropping passes.
But it makes it interesting. Come on.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we could convert football to hockey if you wanted, although hockey's been kind of pushing away from fights too, though.
Hey, I remember the Cortland Finnegan Andre Johnson fight, so you know what? Bring it on.
Oh yeah.
My gosh, that you can watch that on a loop. It still is like it's like a fever dream watching it.
It's fantastic.
This is the NFL. What the hell? Oh my God! Blast from the past, for crying out loud. Michael, you get where I'm living at, the hometown Indianapolis Colts for myself. Colts fans watching in or listening in get to hear what Michael has to say on their pick, the 21st pick, mind you, and the second team or the third team that was technically in order of elimination from the wild card round. Who you got?
I think they should go along the defensive line route. I really think they need an edge rusher, and why not complement someone next to DeForest Buckner? So I have them taking, Jason Owie.
Ouch. Ouch. He's probably saying ouch if he is watching.
Right? I know he's like, yeah. like him. Don't like how I pronounce his name, but yeah, that's how it went. He just got really good speed coming off the ball. He's got a really good first step, first step off the ball, off snap of the ball, and he really played. I think he plays with ease, and I believe that the Colts can get even younger on defense and take more money for Chris Ballard to spend on whatever else he wants or trade picks. And, it fills the need, and I'm all for filling needs. So why not compliment the defense?
I get it. I actually am sticking with your choice too, though. I think they should go for an edge rusher. Justin Houston will also most likely not be back for the Colts. Chris Ballard likes to build through the draft. He's a miser when it comes to spending in free agency. There's a strategy to it, but come on. You're consistently topping cap every year, but you don't really spend much money. I am going with Gregory Rousseau from the University of Miami as well. I'm taking him. Definitely, like I say, you need some edge presence. Like I said, Justin Houston's not there anymore. You're going to have to add a little more juice. And I think, get someone like a Rousseau on the outer edge there, a little more youth, a little more speed to complement the rest of that defensive front seven. DeForest Buckner is going to be hunkered down in the middle anyway, and you got Darius Leonard, Roman, of course, a linebacking core that is pretty stellar, or at least very solid, if you would say. Why not make that front four even more dominant than it was with Buckner in this year? Get Gregory Rousseau, if you will. I think you won't be disappointed.
Yep.
It's a very long fall from where I had him going, for sure. Because I had him, in my top 10, top 5?
Yeah, you had him pretty high up there.
4, I had him go to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did opt out, though, this year. You can't discredit that. I think he's been kind of battling some type of injury. So, there might be a drop off, but at one point he was a top 5, top 10 pick. So before all that, so yeah.
And I'm with you guys on defensive wise, but I'm actually grabbing the guy you guys picked a couple rounds ago, and that's Ojulari. Lowry.
Yes, Ojulari.
Aziz. I'm picking Aziz.
Aziz.
I think he's gonna be more beneficial to that defense, and learning behind Darius Leonard, I think that's gonna propel him into where he gets those polished looks of what he needs to grow on. That's very much a organization where you don't come here if you don't work hard, and that's what Darius Leonard said this past free agency. He goes, "You want to come here, you work hard, we go win." That's pretty much the gist of it. And I think this would be it's definitely a developmental pick. This is definitely one of those ones where they don't fully need it. It's not really filling a need, because the edge rusher is higher. But you don't, like, with him and his versatility, you could put him at edge. You could put him at outside linebacker to where he's right there up on the line. There's a lot of versatility there, and I think that it would fit best for the Indianapolis Colts.
You might as well consistently keep it stocked. That's how some teams operate anyway. Like I said, Chicago, Baltimore, they like to keep their defenses stocked with extra talent just in case, or to rotate out for future proofing. So why not? They're defensively, the Colts, they're tight. Well, I almost said Titan is in the term of the Tennessee Titans. They're
great segue.
They're steadfast. I'm not
segue.
I know, right? I know. I accidentally did that too. That's the thing. I didn't even plan that.
You know what? Things happen for a specific reason, and I love that segue, Zach. Book it. And I guess that's my segue to my pick. It's
hell yeah.
Here we go.
Segways, baby.
Segways, not the ones you ride, but that lead to next thing. This is where J.C. Horn goes. The Tennessee Titans were abysmal in pass coverage last season. Zach, you talked about it more than anybody. He's the next best up in for cornerbacks, and I think if they don't take a cornerback, the Tennessee Titans aren't going to do well in the playoffs yet again. They need to make sure they bolster that secondary they were potentially worse than the Dallas Cowboys, and that's, that might be me being a little bit of a homer on that, because we were bad. They were abysmal.
Good Lord. They were so leaky last year. And I mean, Malcolm Butler was their best corner, but I think he was getting a little too much cheddar, if you will, for what was everyone giving up. I mean, credit, it's not a one-man machine out in Tennessee, but Jesus, for 11-5 squad being a glass cannon, Tennessee Titans are a definition of a glass cannon. My goodness. You know what? I have defensively, because honestly, Tennessee just needs to bolster up pretty much across the board, but really on the front four and the secondary. And if I'm going to be picking anything, I think I wrote this wrong as well, because I know that can't be. Nope, that is how that is spelled. I'm a moron. Quiddy Payne from the team up north, Michigan defensive lineman, is going to go here. Especially since the Titans just got Bud Dupree in free agency. You got the edge rusher secured. Now let's go for the defensive guy in the interior and shore up what was, like I said, overall very leaky defense. I mean, run defense, they were pretty bad too. I mean, pass defense, they were abysmal. Honestly, it was kind of shuddering for how terrible a defense this was for a playoff caliber team. But yeah, front seven needs to shore it up against any rushing defense or any rush teams whatsoever. And I think you're going to get like someone like Payne sitting there. I think that he slides down, good fit, shores up what the Titans need.
Yeah. Well, I made my pick. I'm going to switch it up because it's convenient for me. But before they got Bud Dupree, which I think is a very good signing, by the way. I had them taking Gregory Rousseau from Miami. But now that that's shored up for them, I think they go replace Corey Davis. And they take Rondell Moore from Purdue.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yes, I think they can. I like it. And, he a few years back, I remember watching a certain game against a certain team that Tony likes, and we not shall bring that up, but he balled out during that game, and that is mainly what I focused on through him. But you can't, like, through his film wise, he is so shifty. He could cut on a dime and leave you some change, and is quicker than a hiccup. And yeah, you like
that is a new one. Oh my God!
Put it on a T-shirt.
Yes,
I've never heard that one before. Wow.
I thought of that the other day. I was like, I gotta use that. But true, he was that before he got injured. I can't remember exactly how he got injured, but he wasn't himself these past few years, like he was in 2018, but he is someone that can really take the top off the ball and really can come out of the backfield, because he originally was a running back. I remember watching him down at Purdue a few times while I was down there, but yeah, he can definitely be a dual threat, being through the passing and running game. He can be kind of like that Tyreek Hill, where he can take a little end arounds for big gains and stuff like that too. So, it would fill the void of Corey Davis, that's for sure.
Well, I think it actually adds a different element than Corey Davis, quite frankly. I mean, A.J. Brown is a physical beast in himself, and you're talking a Tyreek Hill archetype. I mean, yeah, 5'9", speedster, already has the running back background, is able to be a pass catcher from anywhere, if you want, a slot guy, if you will. Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome choice.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, go full glass cannon, if you will.
Why not?
just continue to make it more fragile on the opposite end and make it arena ball. Outscore your opponent. Defense only matters every once in a while.
Yep, they'll show up eventually, right?
Someone's gonna chip in. Bud Dupree's there. He'll get a sack.
Yeah,
He'll get something out of that, you know. You know, speaking of glass cannons too, Seattle would have been the 23rd pick, but they are not. They had a trade. This is the Jamal Adams trade, if you will, that this is being referenced. And the New York Jets, Jets, are going to be sitting there at 23rd. As we already know that they were already sitting at number 2. Some of us didn't take them at number 2. Some of them said they'd trade back. Here's the deal. They're not trading this one back either. They could. I haven't really done many trades. I've only done one. I mean, there's been years that they're mild with trades. I think the only one is the one I mentioned earlier with the Eagles. But I'm going to go, if I'm taking at the 23rd pick for the Jets, I'm looking at the Jets. So in my board, they picked up the QB. They got Zach Wilson all set up and squared away. So down at 23rd, they need more consistent of a running game. Le'Veon Bell left in a trade, or left after being released. I almost said trade. No, he was released. And so, who is arguably the best running back on the board at this point? And it would be high for a running back. You know, running backs generally don't go until even later in the first, usually early second. But Najee Harris is almost too tempting not to take here. Pair Zach Wilson with Najee Harris as a rookie duo in that backfield, and just let them go to town with the weapons that they currently have with Corey Davis and such on the outsides. You know, Harris can help easily alleviate, if you will, what has to be dealt with when it comes to Zach Wilson's development. So get a running back that allows you to do that. That is a big, burly guy that's like a Derrick Henry, if you will, that is an excellent pass catcher, actually better pass catcher than Derrick Henry, mind you, and go and have some fun. Make the Jets fun again. Get a Najee Harris at the 23rd pick. Book it right now. I'm just saying.
Book it. Would be a very fun pick.
Book it.
Book it, baby.
I like that actually.
Let's go spend some stuff on. Let's go spend down in Manhattan. You know, let's have some fun with the offense once again.
Man, he'd be the most exciting running back there since. I mean, LT had a little bit of a good career there, but definitely Curtis Martin.
Yes, I mean, Curtis Martin was even a different build, but still,
right.
I mean, Harris, like I said, we're all talking Derrick Henry's insane physical abilities. Like I said, Najee has the strength of Derrick Henry, but he actually can catch.
And he can hurdle.
Scarier. Yeah, that's what's scarier.
Derrick Henry can hurdle people too. All right.
He can.
He did it twice last season.
He just goes, I'm not going to go.
You
over
counted?
I'm going to go through you.
Yeah, he was my running back in fantasy, man. He must carry me all the way to the championship.
Tony's the closet Titans fan, is what I'm being told.
No, closet Derrick Henry fan.
That's fair. King Henry's not. It's not hard to like Derrick Henry.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the truth. But man, Harris has all the intangibles of Henry, but he can actually catch more, or at least he's more consistent. You know, he's able to be more of a catch-reliant back. Give Wilson a toy to play with that's not just Corey Davis. Give him a running back that he can also lean on.
I like it.
I like it, but I gotta go with what I like more.
There's always a but. There's always a but.
Think about their division. Think about what they have to go up against. You know, you've got Josh Allen in that offense. You've got Cam Newton, who, and according to some of our picks, have some good running backs, wide receivers. You know, they're going to be better. The Dolphins are going to be a little bit better as well. So they've got a stacked division, and I'm going to hammer this point home. I'm going to beat this dead horse. Is that defense wins championships?
Yes.
You gotta go with, in my opinion, Nick Bolton right here.
Oh, all right.
He's got speed.
Okay.
He's got developmental, potential. He's got sound, tackling skills. He's got a run stopping skills to where he could spy Josh Allen. That guy who likes to run. Cam Newton likes to run. Tua likes to run. You got a guy who can actually play as that spy linebacker to keep them in check.
That's a good spot.
I mean, yeah, they need everything, so might as well if you're already balancing with the first choice.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yeah, I went defense as well. But I went with Gregory Rousseau here.
Okay.
I like the need is there. They definitely need defense. Other than the offensive part of it, I wouldn't be surprised if they took a corner here too later on, or in this pick either, because that's also a need. But I went with the best player that's available, and he was arguably a top 10 pick at one point. So, yeah, give me Russo here. He's we've already talked about him. So, I mean, he's just a freak. So when completely healthy. So, I say they take a chance here. I mean, you might as well. It's a first round pick, and yeah, I say why not? But I do like that Najee Harris a lot there. That definitely makes sense.
I mean, if you just want to go have some fun, look, Rousseau and Bolton make a lot of sense, though. Like I said, defensively, they already got the offensive guy for most of us who picked. Yeah. So,
right.
You know, why not go and get the other side of the ball shored up while you have your 23rd pick anyway? So I get it. I completely get it.
Yeah, that's the sexy pick right there.
But I mean, you want to have some fun. You want to talk about a storyline and have the Jets in the news all the offseason. Let's get some 2 high-profile guys, shall we?
That's very true. Very true.
Let's get that New York market more re-energized once again. You know what market is not feeling so hot, needs a little bit of juice. Is the next one. Segues on to the next point, where it actually connects because Tony living in Cleveland and how the Cleveland Browns beat up on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are sitting at number 24. Last of the wild card losers. It actually says on my board here, I'm using the website tankathon.com. Great draft
I used that earlier.
Yeah, great draft asset and also joke in itself for how they labeled it for the URL. But number 24, last of the wild card round losers as labeled on tankathon.com, and of course on the draft order, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Michael gets to jump in, and let's see what we can roll the dice with for the Steelers to make it back to the playoffs again. And what we got?
I think this is where I have Najee going.
Oh, all right.
Where I have Najee going. Yep. I think that honestly, I think they could take a tackle here, and it would definitely boost James Conner's ability to just be even better. But I don't know if he's going to be healthy. I don't know if he's even going to be there. There was talks of him going to go somewhere else, but why not get the best back in the draft? Like, he's there. I mean, we've already talked about him. We've already oohed and awed about him. Like,
he's enticing.
Exactly. We've seen him do crazy things against Notre Dame, and in the championship game, he's just a baller. And why not get that guy? And I think Pittsburgh. I mean, he's different than Le'Veon Bell in a good way, and I think it fits very well here. And why not? I mean, give Big Ben or whoever's going to be back there when healthy a weapon, and see where it goes from there. I really like Najee Harris. I almost hope Atlanta somehow scoops him up if they trade back, but because you guys know I've been oohing and ahhing about him, and how he reminds me of Alvin Kamara, just being able to do so much with the ball out of the backfield and in the pass game too. And he just complements quarterbacks very well.
Oh yeah. I would love to be enticed by that. But since they decided to hunker down on Ben Roethlisberger coming back, they better start shoring up that line. I mean, Pouncey is retired. You're going to have to get some more veteran players in there, or at least more youth, if you will. I'm going to say let's go with Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State as my choice to go for the Steelers. Again, if you're going with Big Ben, again, and, credit, maybe he has some more juice in the tank. Maybe he's got something more to prove after hearing all the doubters last year. But honestly, I don't think so. But honestly, if you're going with him again, which they are, you're going to need to shore up that line. And I think right at that time in the board, for me, Jenkins would still be there, one of your best available. Might as well go with it. And it's a position that is a need for the Steelers right now. Defensively, the Steelers are stacked, but they fell apart last year on their offensive identity. And I think that if you're going to find a way to shore that up, it's going to be getting that offensive line built, or at least kind of repatched, if you will. Get Jenkins at this point is how I look at it.
Yeah, you're right. They definitely fell flat in the last half of the last 5-6 games of the season.
Oh yeah.
But I think a big contribution to that is the fact that they didn't have a running game. James Conner again was hurt. Jalen Samuels is not a solid running back in the NFL. He's at best, just a kind of like a breather guy. I must be reading Michael's mind. I must be tuning into the guru because I'm going Najee Harris off the board.
Oh boy.
He's Calvin Kamara and Derrick Henry had a child, and that's just what you got.
A dream come true.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it benefits too because then you have that pure competition for that running back spot too, which might propel James Conner to a new level as well. But I think Najee Harris, if he goes to Pittsburgh, he's the number one back right off the bat, and yeah, he can do more with less as a running back as opposed to James Conner. James Conner needs that offensive tackle, needs that short up line. Najee Harris, he's a dog.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing we learned from the Browns themselves, you get two solid running backs. Now, this also is a caveat, is if you have a healthy James Conner. Healthy James Conner tied in with the potential of Najee Harris could be deadly in itself, to where you could have that 1-2, like how the Browns, the bitter new up and coming kids on the block they got themselves handed an L2 in the postseason. So, I like that. I like that choice. Very enticing.
Yes.
Indeed. Very enticing as we move along. As we go from the West Coast, it moved on over to Jacksonville, to Duval County. Tony gets to talk about the Jalen Ramsey pick that the Jacksonville Jaguars picked up. They are going to be enjoying this choice at 25. What do the folks in Duval Nation get to see the Jacksonville Jaguars pick up at that slot?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one thing that they've been promised for a couple years now that hasn't really panned out. But here I think it does. Patrick Jones, the second out of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
He's ideally in a 4-3, which is sort of what the Jaguars run. Either way, you put him, you put Josh Allen, and you put Chazon, and that's a dominant 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
So I think it also keeps those two who thought that no matter how bad they do, they still have a starting job because they're the best available at that position. You add that competition in there. You add it to where, listen, Josh Allen could lose his job to Patrick Jones, and then that's where it kind of creates that benefit for Jags fans. Jags have a good number of picks. They have a lot of free agency cap space. I think what they do in the draft is they do what they do best. I already told you they're taking a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. They've got some pretty good offensive weapons. They've got James Robinson in one of the best rookie running backs last year. I think they need to bolster that defense, especially because you lost a lot of it. I think rebuilding it in the draft is the best way to go. It gets them younger.
Oh man, and they need to defensively. I think they're going to shore up because Lawrence is almost suspected to be in. If we're talking free agent market, they did bolster their receiving core a little bit. We got Marvin Jones, who's going to be out there. Philip Dorsett's not a sexy signing, but I mean, it adds depth that they didn't have. You also have to remember too that they had a few stars out there themselves, just needed some, a little bit more of a QB behind them. And I think they're going to be adding that too. And James Robinson's going to be behind the center as well at the running back position. One of the stars of that rookie class, undrafted star too. But I'm going to go in the secondary. So they signed Shaquille Griffin away from Seattle. So that's going to be your number one on paper. However, they're going to get another cornerback to help shore up that secondary off the gate. I am going with Greg Newsome with this choice. he will be the guy I'm going to be leaning on. I think you get a pick that's, like I said, you shore up the secondary with Newsome, and I think that the Jags kind of recoup. Basically, they lose Ramsey and they pick up another cornerback. Not saying that cornerback's going to be a Ramsey archetype, but it at least gets the secondary up to snuff to where they can compete with anyone if they need to at that moment.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I went secondary as well. I went with Trayvon Moehrig out of TCU. I really like how he's kind of progressed in how he's been at TCU, working his way up and really being a leader of that defense. And it's honestly translated onto the field. And you might as well shore up that defense, get them younger, get them faster. He led the nation in pass breakup the last 2 seasons too. So that speaks volumes, honestly, for what you do. It's especially from a guy from like TCU. Like you don't really hear about a lot of prospects from TCU all that often, but he's got good size. He's got good tools. I mean, good fit. I think they do need it for sure. They need a defense other than shoring up the franchise quarterback. But I mean, can never have too much help on defense, like we've been saying this whole time.
Absolutely. There are teams, they just build. That's how they do it. They build defensively and they rotate them out, or they at least rotate in when they need best fit. Like I said, Chicago, that's just the bread and butter around here.
Right.
We almost expect it anymore. Leading in, so gritty city like that. Leading into another gritty city, Cleveland is after Jacksonville at the 26th spot. Surprise season. There's a lot of expectations on the team right now. Especially since how close they were to actually getting to a conference championship. I mean, that in itself, I'm still impressed that they were one Chad Henne stop or one Chad Henne sack as well as a quick out pass away to maybe trying to get a drive to go and win that football game. But
don't forget the helmet contact.
Oh gosh, yes. Do we have to bring up Reed Sorensen again?
I'm sorry to bring that up. I'm just saying.
No, see, that's funny. I mean, I know you live in Cleveland. You're not a Cleveland Browns fan, but just the fact we have to go bring that up. NFL, consistency on the helmet issues still thrown out the door sometimes. Who the hell knows? Okay.
Just like, let's go.
What are the rules?
There are no rules.
I was gonna say,
Brian caught it. Just saying. They're talking rules. They said it. It's their verdict. I don't know why that came up. It's the rules. That's all I'm telling you. Cleveland, though, I get to make this choice, at least on the clock, if I will. And, you can, of course, tell me off if you want. Look, the Browns, they have Myles Garrett on one side. Olivier Vernon is destined to, looks like, be a free agent. I don't know if they bring him back. So I'm saying that, and I'm going to probably butcher the name as well because Tony kind of tried to earlier. I'm going to say it differently, I think. Jason Owe is going to go here is my choice. the Penn State product himself. I think this is a great spot. Myles Garrett has been almost, I would say, a lot of times doing it all for that front four, but it's always nice to have a buddy on the opposite side. Might as well invest. And Penn State, one of the better schools to bring them up right when it comes to those down linemen and edge rushers and that front seven. I think you have a good pick here later in the first round, and the Browns get a guy that helps shore up a defense that was, I would say, solid, but could have improved more. They figured themselves on the offensive identity last year under Kevin Stefanski. Now it might be time to shore up a defense that at times I think had lapses in judgment, but had signs of, progress, if you will, overall.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I also went edge rusher, but I went with my man Azeez.
Oh, Azeez goes here.
Yes, I like Azeez going here. He's a very twitchy guy. He's got a great first step. I feel like that's something that could complement Myles Garrett very well. And I feel like he could be so beneficial to this defense. And he's one of those guys in college. He produced very well, and then usually players opt out of their bowl games. He didn't, and he balled out in the Peach Bowl, and he made his draft stock even go higher, which I think is just awesome because you don't really hear about that very often. So I really like how he did that, and I like the fit. He'd be really great next to Myles Garrett, and they definitely need defensive help because they've invested so much on offense, like you said. So why not invest on the defense? Well, bringing it home. Defense wins championships.
You're darn right. Thank you, John Gruden.
Thank you. This has been a focal point of the show so far.
I think we need to make a shirt with somebody beating a dead horse because you know what I'm gonna go with right here, right?
Defense?
It's defense.
Defense?
It's defense. But here's the kicker, guys. Living in Cleveland, you get to immerse yourself in it. Kind of like Zach in Indy, being a Bears fan, you're not one of their fans, but you get to immerse yourself into the what's going on in the team. You're kind of forced into it. Granted, they just signed John Johnson III in the secondary. All right.
Yes.
They did.
But what was the one area that they suffered on the most on the defensive side? It's in the secondary because who was playing safety for them last season sticks out in my mind. Clevelanders hated him alike. Andrew Sendejo.
Yeah.
Ooh,
See ya.
there.
You know why? Because they're going to draft Trayvon Moehrig.
Ooh, that'd be a good spot for
Their
him.
pick. Because he's going to end up shoring up that defensive secondary, which is one of the main areas they need help. They have a lot of good depth at that defensive line position, especially with Ojanobi there as well. It would be a great compliment to have another edge rusher on the other side of Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett's going to move around the field. You have to plan for that. The linebacking core isn't too bad. It's the secondary, especially the safeties that need help. Trayvon Moehrig is the best option here because it's going to make Clevelanders happier to see Andrew Sendejo be pushed out the door.
And I'm a sucker for TCU as a defensive school anyway. I don't think they get enough credit. They're also one of those defensive factories that they just it never ends. It seems when they're with their secondary or linebackers that come out of that school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they fly under the radar for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. It seems like this for the most part, these picks for a bit have been all AFC North. It's almost like we've been structuring it like we're divisions, but that's how the standings figured out. So, Michael gets two of them because he was with Pittsburgh. So now you get to talk the bitter rival at the 27th pick.
Yeah, and I went with a clear need here because why not give Lamar Jackson a little weapon here? Because they're always talking about not having a wide receiver, not having a deep threat. They're wanting to trade for a wide receiver because they don't have one, or they just need to give him weapons. And this is why I am going to give them Elijah Moore from Ohio State. Ole Miss. Sorry, not Ohio State. I saw the O in Ole Miss, and I was like, why does that mean Ohio for some reason? Yes, Ole Miss, not Ohio State. Just they need to give Lamar Jackson weapons and he did get over the hump winning a playoff game against the Titans, but he really needs a good deep threat, and he can run any route that you ask him to run and he'll do it. And simply just give him a weapon. That's all you need. Man. Just clear need. That's all you got.
And I've been saying this to other people too. Like Lamar Jackson, I think is not. Marquise Brown has been kind of a weapon. It's just that I see him as more of a deep threat rather than an all-around receiver. Mark Andrews, it's tight end, but I still, with certain exceptions, I don't think Andrews should be your number one de facto go-to option. So go and get someone that can beat that, and see what Lamar Jackson can do with proper receiving help. That is a good choice. However, I'm going to stick with the defensive tradition of the Ravens because they just always love their defense, and they have not had a spark really since Eric Weddle. Look, Earl Thomas was a joke with the Ravens, at least for what it sounded like as a team player. I think early on we were just kind of with that when they picked him up, we were just kind of phased like he's obviously good. There's no problem with this. And then later on we learned he wasn't actually producing well and wasn't getting along with teammates. And finally, the last off season, finally the blow up ab practice that resulted in him being released, and he hasn't been picked up since. So might have been a sign. Who knows? Could still be picked up later on. Maybe took a year off, but I think they need a spark at safety again. Like I said, Eric Weddle was really the last, I would say, all-star safety that the Ravens had. I think that you pick up someone like a Trevon Moehrig from TCU, goes here, and could make that secondary that has been pretty darn solid for the Ravens even more spectacular and gives a little more electricity back there. And it just fits the bill for what the Ravens do as a team. I think that they really do need receiving help, but also, why not in a division that is getting more and more weaponized, if you will, between the Steelers and especially the Baltimore Ravens, who I think or not the Baltimore Ravens, the Browns, that are going to be challenging more and more, I say, for the top of that spot. Why not get yourself a good safety? And from a school that has expertise in that department and when it comes to secondary and the linebacking core.
Yeah. Definitely like that pick. But you talk about weaponization and you talk about how the Browns are getting weaponized. We're talking about how Pittsburgh might take Najee Harris and get more weaponized that direction. You really lose it with the fact that Baltimore hasn't really weaponized themselves offensively.
Yes.
So they have J.K. Dobbins, who's the clear number one running back now that Mark Ingram's gone. That's fantastic. Love to see that for him. I'm actually going with the wide receiver train here. And this, Michael, where Rondale Moore goes.
Oh, okay.
You got to talk about a compliment for Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown is obviously the number one. Mark Andrews is kind of the number two kind of outlet safety blanket, kind of like a Jason Witten style. You need somebody on the other side to help complement Hollywood Brown and also have the ability to make those big plays too. And this is where Rondale Moore comes in.
Ooh, that would be a good one too, actually.
Yeah, that's not bad. I almost see it as almost an more explosive Willie Snead.
Yeah, and all right, first off, props to Willie, man.
I know, I love Willie Snead too.
Willie was my favorite thing about Ball State because when he came back to finish up his schooling was when I was in like my senior year at Ball State.
Right.
So got to know him pretty well. Great guy. Just kind of a guy who just put in the work regardless of whether it's on the field or off the field. So definitely love the fact that he's still there. Put him in the slot. You put Hollywood Brown on the one side, and then you put Rondale Moore on the other. You've got a weaponized offense there. With J.K. Dobbins in the backfield and Lamar Jackson, you're keeping pace with the rest of the AFC North.
Not bad.
Not
bad.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
Got some sexy picks.
Hey, that is no lie.
Been knocking him out of the park with his back half of it, man.
I knew that I had to come with, the top-notch quality that I could because we have the guru Michael Grimberg on. So I got to be able to contend with that.
Jesus, here I am slacking. I got these two not hitting homers. I mean, I'll go for the RBIs. I'm cool with that.
Hey, it still gets it done.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Gonna say batting awards count RBIs too, don't they?
That's right.
This is football. What the hell are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Dear God, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about the Saints. The Who Dat Nation. Who
never say that again in your life. I
watched all the hype videos of when Drew Brees retired. I watched all the ones that ESPN put on their Instagram, and I got chills, man. I know Michael hates the fact that he had to face him twice a year. The dude was a class act. I loved watching him play. Man, he did so much on the field and off the field that, it's going to be hard to find another Drew Brees. He's a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation player. That's going to be my segue, by the way.
Nice.
To This is where Mac Jones falls.
Oh my God!
Call me crazy. You've got Taysom Hill, you've got Jameis Winston, but you know what? Jameis Winston had it kind of, shows those flashes of brilliance sometimes. Taysom Hill is really mainly a utility player. I won't get into the fact that Michael thinks that he's basically a glorified running back. We'll move past that real quick. I think Mac Jones.
I said that.
Yeah, Mac Jones is the one guy who I think fits that system well, and he kind of reminds me of the next step from Drew Brees. Really, he can. He's that pocket. He's aware. He's got all of those different tangibles that, Sean Payton loves in a quarterback, especially having Drew Brees all these years. I think this is where he falls to. It might be crazy because he's, late first round, but I think he's going to be the best fit.
For the inconsistency they have there, maybe, and it saves them money. It's a rookie, too.
Sure.
Credit Drew Brees, first off, I'm not going to say credit, just go straight and go credit. They saved him money because he retired. No, God, what he meant for the city, sans, of course, what Michael's feelings on the twice a year. I can't talk about Drew Brees. I can't talk about blank to blank. See how I did that? So,
yes.
I know my limits with you now, or I have been learning them.
And
I just keep pushing them.
Right. I respect a lot of Drew Brees. Honestly, he brought the best out of everyone in that division, honestly. And you can't hate the guy. You just can't. But yeah, I don't know if I would pick Mac Jones there, only because they paid Taysom Hill so much money, and now they seem like they're invested in Jameis too. It's like, who's going to be starting there? And then you're going to bring Mac Jones in, and I know he's going to be on a rookie deal, but man, it doesn't seem like they know who's going to be the clear cut starter. But not that Breeze was doing all the snaps anyway, because when he was out, Winston was in there, Taysom Hill was in there, and even when he was healthy, he was sharing snaps. So it's kind of hard to tell, honestly, what the direction of it's going to be. But if Sean Payton's looking for the future and it's not with Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston, hey, that's a good spot.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty good too. I am going to go with the linebacking core though, because they did release Kwan Alexander. I think injury issues and just looking for more youth at that position. I think you go for Zaven Collins here. And I think you fill in that need, if you will, shore up the front seven. They actually did a great job, it looks like, surprisingly, of clearing cap space. I'm shocked at, for considering to be one of the worst in cap, they found a way to magically do it, which, by the way, Michael, one of the ways they did that was giving Taysom Hill that contract, which, for those listening, is technically a big pile of nothing. It is a voidable $140 million contract. So if they want to, they can give it to him. But really, it actually saved them like roughly $7.5 million on the cap space by just giving him a fake contract and going, yeah, it's voidable. So just keep that in mind while you're signing this. No big deal.
I don't understand that, honestly.
The cap market, I'm learning more and more, is so weird in how you can kind of do gymnastics.
Yeah.
It's almost as fascinating as doing mock drafts. Not even gonna lie. Like just learning that system is is pretty challenging in itself as doing these, in all honesty. But like to finish up, like Zaven Collins, I think the Saints, there's a few things. Quarterbacks, I think their biggest thing that they want to address. They think they have their guy. I think they're still obsessed with Taysom Hill, but Jameis Winston's still there, and they're going to give him another try. But really, they need to shore up some defensive deficiencies, and Collins just kind of fits one of those deficiencies. I know Michael doesn't like it, but it just makes sense.
I know. I just think I just don't see him as a long-term answer at quarterback. I just feel like, why not have Mac Jones come in and do that? I feel like he's more of the traditional quarterback that Drew Brees was. Drew Brees wasn't a runner, not that it's bad to be a runner, but, it doesn't seem like Taysom Hill's very invested in throwing the ball, and when he does, it's not pretty. I'll
Not pretty.
just leave it there. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. I mean, he could go out and ball out and prove me wrong. I mean, whatever. But I mean, that's an awful lot of money to invest in a guy that blocks punts, catches touchdowns, rushes for touchdowns, and I don't know. It's different, and we haven't seen anything like it. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. He was already getting paid like a star, and now he's getting phony money to get paid like a star. Go figure. Oh, how did I land on this next one too? I hate that I have to lead off with the freaking golden green cheesehead nation. If I will, how did I do that? You know, I was going to comment on it because I have to. You know, quota, if I will.
Quota,
but come on, I didn't want to be the guy going to the podium telling the cheesehead pick that I have for my mock draft. But someone's got to do it, so screw it. For those out there in Cheesehead Nation, I think you guys are picking up a linebacker as well. And that's going to be Nick Bolton out of Missouri is my choice here. Packers, I think that's another weakness of theirs. They were a little leaky on the run defensive side of their unit. They have the secondary that can challenge most NFL offenses, I would say. But, you know, if there was a weakness there, it was run game. And I would say that you can pick somebody up like a Nick Bolton that helps instantly fix that area of your defense. And I think, gives Rodgers a slightly better chance even to make another run. Because, I mean, I think he's still got a bit of fire in him. Got eliminated in a poor way last year, if you will. And they retained a lot of their weapons still. I mean, Jamal Williams left, but, I mean, they kept Aaron Jones. So they still have a lot of stuff that they can go with if you want. Bolton helps on the side of the ball that couldn't keep the run game down when it mattered against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I agree. But since you mentioned Aaron Rodgers and how we have always talked about him not having weapons and them passing on Justin Jefferson and these wide receivers that they could have had. And I think this will be the year that they take a wide receiver. And this is where I have Kadarius Toney going.
Okay.
And, you know, I think he'll complement Davante Adams very well. And, you know, how they usually use Tunyon in the red zone and Davante Adams as well. I think Kadarius Toney will be a nice, deep threat. He's so good getting down the field and creating separation in his routes, and I really like how he just finds a way to get open, and he never drops the ball. It seems like he never drops the ball from. I remember watching the game against Georgia, and I feel like every ball that he caught, or every pass that was his way, he caught or found a way to get to it, and I think he's going to be something special. I think he kind of reminds me like trying to compare to Bateman or Rashad Bateman, who I talked about earlier. But yeah, he's another one of those guys who he had to work his way up, and you know he didn't really succeed very well with Felipe Franks down there in Gainesville, but Kyle Trask came in there, and it seemed like he elevated his play, and he pretty much had to work for what he had to get to. And I like it. And I think giving old Aaron Rodgers another weapon that he has so desperately needed from fans. I don't know. It seems like a fit there. They do need it, but I think defense, they do need defense a little bit more, but it wouldn't hurt to get a little weapon for him.
Yeah, maybe they'll get the other weapon. I hope they don't, by the way.
Right.
I honestly, any of these picks, I'm like, God, can they just not have a pick? Is that cool?
Right.
Like,
I know.
Can we just keep them at status quo?
Right. I get you.
That's
yeah.
bad.
I get where both of you coming from. Again, I'm going to be the said horse. This horse is a bloody pulp at this point. I think that the Packers have had a great defensive line. If you really look at it, they've got the two Smiths that are fantastic on their front four. Where they lacked was at that linebacker position, where they really skilled linebacker. Nick Bolton's gone for me. He went to the Jets.
That's true.
Like 6 picks ago. My next bet would be Dylan Moses out of Alabama.
Okay.
I think he's just got that speed, that intangible like quickness, like instincts of where to be and when to be there. I think that's really going to benefit them, even if they only have one linebacker. And I know it doesn't help out Aaron Rodgers, but let's be honest here. Aaron Rodgers could potentially be in his last couple of years as an NFL player. Like, what we have to look at it that way. If Drew Brees is retiring, Aaron Rodgers is probably right behind him, and then maybe followed by Tom Brady. Who knows? Like, that guy may play forever. I think that where they need to build is that defense, especially that linebacking core. And I think Dylan Moses is the best spot for that.
Who knows if Jordan Love ever sees the field, right?
Right. He's just gonna be a spectator.
I mean, that's what Rodgers was for his first 2-3 years behind Favre. Mm-hmm. So honestly, it could pan out to where Jordan Love ends up becoming that Aaron Rodgers for them. So I think they may not have found their quarterback of the future in Jordan Love. Who knows? That time will tell. But if I remember correctly, which was well before I was even like critically thinking about football, everybody kind of thought the same thing about Aaron Rodgers. They didn't think that he was going to be that next best quarterback behind Brett Favre, especially following in those footsteps. And we were all proven wrong. So we don't know what the future holds for that quarterback position, especially for Jordan Love. But I think where you got to build, especially with, you got to build on what's worked in Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers can do anything he sets his mind to with whatever weapons he has, whether they're good, whether they're mediocre. That defense is what is going to win them and push them to that next level.
Championship, what you meant to say.
I didn't feel like hitting the dead horse with that one that time.
My only thing I have to ask, does Jordan Love have the cojones to go, put me as a starter or I get traded?
Ooh.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's Aaron Rodgers gets hurt to the point where he can't come back to play, and Jordan Love is thrust then into the spotlight.
I'm just saying, that'd be pulling a Rodgers to a
exactly.
Rodgers.
It's the Green Bay way.
Yeah.
Green Bay way. Ever since Rodgers showed up. Yeah, I'm just telling you, I don't want a third star quarterback. Love better not be that. The time is done. Dynasties end in the NFL. That is how it works. They don't always stay around. I'm just saying. Eventually, they are going to run out of luck.
I'm sorry. I had a cough.
Hey, zip it, you.
What'd you say?
I said Patriots.
Get the hell out of here. We're done. Right, they were 15th. No, don't get out of the hell here. We got a few more picks. In fact, we got a few more. Stop. We got to finish this. We're almost to the end. We're at 30.
Boys.
We're at 30. I cannot believe I'm about to make a full mock draft in my first time in my life. 30th is the Buffalo Bills, the unfortunate people that had to take on the Kansas City Chiefs before the Chiefs decided they didn't want to play in Tampa Bay. Yeah. So the Buffalo Bills circle the wagon. They've made some re-signings, crucial. By the way, Matt Milano, which is one that I thought they needed to instantly re-sign, got him signed down. Emmanuel Sanders, 1-year deal. Get more receiving help, if you will. They let go of John Brown, so, I mean, they got to get someone. The Bills have a few needs that they could shore up this team with, but pretty well-rounded roster. Just it's more of tinkering at this stage when we get to the first round. That's the thing. So, Michael, you get to talk about the guys that circle the wagon.
Nobody circles them better, boys. I'm going with a sexy pick here, and it's only because it's so inconsistent, and it seems like they're always riddled with injuries, and that's the running back position. So I'm going with Travis Etienne from Clemson. Yes. I feel like that would be a nice addition to that offense. I mean, after you already said adding Emmanuel Sanders and, I mean, they already have Stephon Diggs. I mean, you can't forget about him. So why not add somebody who's going to shore up the running game? And granted, they did use him almost too much at Clemson, which kind of scares me for his production in the future, for health wise. But I think you gotta take a chance on him. He's very, very good in space, and I like him going to the Bills and helping out Josh Allen a little bit. Hopefully, help them get over that hump and to hopefully get to the Super Bowl.
And they need just a little bit of juice at that spot, I think. And I also think for Josh Allen's sake, just needed to get that run to finally calm himself down. But, we'll see. There are QBs that do get that are cursed. I hope I don't know if it'll be him, but, they do need some run presence. It was injured a lot. I mean, that's one of their weaknesses. I actually thought that they need to key in. I'm going defensive side. I feel like they locked down Milano in the second level. But on the front four, I felt they were kind of weak. They didn't have enough presence there at times last year. They actually took a step back in some categories on the run game last year, even though the Bills were one of the top 10 defenses the year prior when they went to the wild card. So I'm saying that for the Bills, and I'm going to butcher this name as well, they're going to pick up Levi Onwuzurike. I know that is not how you say that, and I don't think that.
I don't know if I know who that. Wait, what?
Defensive tackle out of Washington.
Yes,
Levi Onwuzurike. Oh man, that's a rough one.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You guys can try. I feel bad.
I looked up a lot of them that I was going to have trouble pronouncing before we started this because I needed the phonetics.
See, I thought I did pretty well except for two. And that's the only reason I kept thinking this over my head as we were going farther down the list. I'm like, I'm gonna have to pronounce this one at some point. I think I got it, but I think
Onwuzurike.
I want to say that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think that's correct.
That is very tough.
Senior defensive lineman out of Washington. They were leaky on the run game this past season. Took a step back. I think that needs to be shored up right away. You sign Matt Milano back again, who is in his prime right now and is going to be with you for the next 4 years in that pretty much that window for the Bills when it comes to championship tenure or potential. So your weakness was really there and some lapses in secondary. They also locked down Micah Hyde. So now let's get the front four shored up with one of the top 3 on the CBS Sports board for defensive tackles. So I'd say take Levi and shore up your run game.
Yeah.
What's the best way to shore up a run game? Especially on the offensive side. So if you bolster that offensive line. That's a really bad segue, and I'm sorry about that. It's getting late, and my segues are starting to dwindle in, top-notch quality.
The compass on that was moving so far, and then all of a sudden it just zing, there it is.
Yeah.
I just had to figure it out.
Magnetic north, and we're good. Here's my thing. They lost an offensive tackle to free agency, who ended up signing with the Cowboys for a 1-year deal. I think this is where they take Tevin Jenkins. You shore up that offensive line. You get a good pass protector for Josh Allen, and you get a good lineman who can block in the run game. I think that's their best way, especially with Devin Singletary hasn't really broken out like he was supposed to. Zach Moss is kind of iffy, especially when he's healthy.
Yeah.
I think the best way to do it, and even if Josh Allen is the one running the ball, because he's going to use his legs regardless. Whoever's behind him at running back is going to have to play second fiddle, because if he's able to make that play with his legs, he's going to take it. I think you need to protect him more so, because he's going to be your best bet to win that Super Bowl, to get back there. Defensively, absolutely, they need some help. But I think where we need to do, again, is build on what has worked. And I think the offensive line for the Bills is where they need to work on it.
Yeah, either side of the ball, really. Just got to shore something up. Give them a bit more oomph.
Mm-hmm.
Oomph indeed.
Am I up next? Let me.
You are up next.
Oh,
I'm actually out. I'm out. I got out from
He's
the
out.
I got out from the podium. My time is up.
All right. Did are you rescinding your next pick to Michael for the 32nd pick?
Oh wait.
No,
you
yeah,
were
that's
saying it would be
right.
last.
Oh my god. No, I am not. Jesus,
Michael
it
is
late.
out. The
Jesus, it
guru
is
is done.
I am
It
done.
is late. Yeah.
It is late. It is.
As of this recording, it is definitely late. It's a long one. You know, we knew this was going to be long.
It was.
It's actually blew by the expectations I had. Jesus Christ. We're hitting the Super Bowl contenders, and Tony's right. Tony goes here. Tony gets to talk about the Chiefs, who I think have a few concerns. One in particular that they, I think he might hit on, is all I'm going to say.
Are you thinking where they need to also shore up their offensive line?
Yes.
Because that's where I'm at, and that's who I'm taking is Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma, who is a guard / center and has that versatility that they need.
Yeah, they're gonna need to get that shored up. You know, let Eric Fisher go and such. You know, but sign some big money for Turney. You know, someone's gonna have to fill in for cheap. And I know I'm saying cheap like that, and I'm not meaning to degrade rookies or anything, but rookie contracts save money for teams. So
yes, they're
inexpensive. That high quality for an affordable price.
There you go. I do O-line, but Jalen Mayfield is my choice. I'm gonna go.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna take him for sure. But either way, I mean, no matter, honestly, it really is up to preference at that point. I mean, Michigan, being in the Big Ten, the conference, I would say, is a pretty good lineman conference anyway. Tough Midwestern guys up in any of those universities. So honestly, it really comes down to preference anyway when it comes to this pick. But Jesus, the Chiefs, it's like a glaring issue. Let go of 2 linemen, sign one for a lot of money. Makes a lot of sense to me.
I know it. That's so. I thought that too. I was like, wait. I don't know, how does that work? I mean, yeah, I know they were injured, but man, they let them both go. That was their main problem. I know they weren't in the Super Bowl, but dang, now they're not really there. So yeah, I went the same route. Like you said, preference, but I just went with best need at this point, and that's Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. So, I mean, you can pretty much put him anywhere, honestly, right or left tackle, and he'll produce for you. So that might be helpful with their big free agent signing that they just had. So yeah, that would probably help almost instantly. So I would hope anyway. So they got to protect the $500 million man. So.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I might have even misspoke. I mean, it's not any lineman, but when you're the Kansas City Chiefs right now, after what you just witnessed happen this past February, it almost feels like any lineman will really do at this point. Any healthy lineman. It's actually the key words, but now they're spending a lot of money. Now it's any affordable lineman that'll come to play in Kansas City. So go to the draft, dive into the draft and pick up some of those linemen, young man.
No kidding.
Anything. And that brings us to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Our final pick of the night for all of us. We have made it through an entire mock draft. Good Lord, this is long. I'm glad if we do this once a year, this is exactly what it'll be, is like gear up for just intensity of just having to talk through these. But Tampa Bay is the final pick. It'd be something if I was like, I'm trading them out right now. I'm not going to do that. They right now their main thing is they're signing a lot of their guys back, which is they've done a pretty good job. They got Levante David back, Shaq Barrett's back on a nice deal as well. Chris Godwin got franchise tags, so Jesus, the whole gang's coming back together. They're talking to Ndamukong Suh right now to possibly bring him back, and I will make this pick with reference that yes, they are talking to Leonard Fournette, and I actually do. If Leonard Fournette were to come back, great. I think that he proved his worth in the playoffs. He would deserve another contract. Him and Ronald Jones are dominant. But wouldn't Travis Etienne be a pretty cool pickup if you had a chance? I'm just saying, And you don't have to pay. Leonard Fournette would probably be asking for a little more. Maybe not. I mean, Tom Brady's more about the rings, so why not go get a ring? And you still get a bit of cash. But, I mean, Travis Etienne working in that offense with Ronald Jones, they both can pass catches. Etienne arguably is a little more versatile, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ronald Jones has a little more beef on his bones, but Etienne's more of the finesse back. But they both can catch passes really well. Fournette had issues with that, I would say. I always was surprised that they would pass as much as they did to Leonard Fournette, by the way, because he has kind of stone hands. Etienne fixes that issue right away, and you already have Ronald Jones who can already bully people if he wants to go up the middle and can catch better than Fournette. So why not? You know, I would say you have most of the pieces already there, and you're already signing them back mostly. Let's go have some fun. Just like I said with the Najee Harris pickup, let's go have some fun in that backfield.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to not see that twice a year. Thank you very much.
I wouldn't either, because I don't care to see Brady win another championship. But if I'm the Bucs and if I'm Jason Licht there, I mean it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly didn't think about it, Etienne, because after watching the Clemson game, I got kind of annoyed. But that's just me, you know.
Oh yeah.
It's the Ohio State Buckeye part of me.
Fair enough.
I actually went with Jalen away.
Okay.
Because of the fact that I think that he would help bolster that defense with also getting that polishing from, you know, Shaq Barrett and Ndamukong Suh and everybody that's on there. I think it could propel that defense back to when, you know, Chucky Gruden said, defense wins championships.
Stop it. He's already dead.
Stop.
Stop doing that.
It's a bloody pulp on the floor right now.
It's at the end. Can we have an open casket maybe?
No. It's so beaten we got a closed casket.
Oh,
Fine.
God.
Fine, an urn it is.
Urn it shall be.
An urn it will be for that one. Oh, my God.
I also went defense, too. Why not just get a nice rotational piece? I have Zaven Collins going here. I know they have Levante David and they have Shaq Barrett and all that, and they I'm blanking on this. Devin White.
Devin White, my God. If it wasn't for Levante David.
Yes, and I didn't think that they were going to get Levante David back, so this was prior to that happening. But, I mean, what a nice rotational piece it would be just to give them a little bit of a breather, or say somebody gets injured or whatever. I mean, you never know what can happen, and you can never have too many pieces, you know. So, I mean, it's just going to make them even more scary. So, yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bucs have pretty much set themselves up. They're looking like they can go even farther, and Brady got an extension too. So, you know, we'll have to deal with that coming up.
Nice. Twice a year.
All the pieces fell into place. All the pieces fell into place just perfectly. Folks, we did it. We have made it through an entire mock draft for the first round. I don't know how these people do it for a full draft, by the way, because there are some, but first round alone, it's an experience. Just saying. And if you, hey, look, here's the deal. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment to see what you think about this, because I mean, hey, we all had our own takes. If you've been following along, you can mark them down. Give us your thoughts on a few of the picks, especially for your fans. Subscribe and drop a like as well, because these videos are going to be a lot more common. If you're listening on the podcast version, by the way, I also recommend giving us a subscription as well. Hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform, as these shows are weekly, and we are going to be getting more and more back into the Zach, Tony, and Grimbo show versions, if you will, as the season goes on. As we get closer to the draft, as we get closer to training camps, more free agencies coming up, and has been kind of crazy because honestly, if it wasn't for the mock draft this week, free agency would have been on the docket too, and we got plenty to say on that for all the insanity as we're talking about as well. And hey, you can follow us along with that adventure too. Hit subscribe whether you're on the podcast or on YouTube. And follow the podcast as well. You can catch me. I've changed the username. It's Grid Gallery Pod now on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. I am changing it on Facebook at some point. Got to figure that out. But it's going to be Grid Gallery Pod from here on out if you guys are looking up the podcast. And you can follow all of us here, Zach, Tony, or Michael, on our own social media pages. Myself in particular, it's just at Zach Keilman, or you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at the podcast platforms. You know what? I'm gonna do this because I screw this up every now and then, but I'm gonna let the guys do their socials. Tony, I know your socials because we all know that Michael ain't on that Twitter.
The tweeter.
At least Tony's on there. I could tag Tony when we talk about these episodes releasing.
On the tweeter. Facebook, Tony Stenielson. Twitter, Tony Stenielson, I believe. If not, it might just be Tony Stenielson. It's too late for me to check at this point. One of the two. If the first one doesn't work, check the second one. You'll see it. It's fine. Instagram is Stenielbridge. I don't post a lot of sports stuff on that. That's mainly personal stuff. If you care about that, throw me a follow request.
He's got an interesting life. You should check him out either way. You know, it doesn't have to just be sports conversation anywhere you go. All right, Michael. As I already did, I already inserted the Twitter joke, so you don't. We got that out of the way pretty early. Where can people find you, man?
Facebook, my name, Instagram, M_Grimberg35.
Wow.
It is so
quick. You know.
There it is.
We'll get it. Like we said, we're gonna keep chipping away. If you're watching the video itself, you know Tony's already shown the chipping action about this because we'll get him on there eventually. Maybe he's got to focus on his wedding, first. So maybe it comes after that.
Yep.
Well, for Tony, for Michael, and for myself, thank you all for tuning in. Whatever version you're watching of this, appreciate it. And it's going to be fun as always. Another NFL season really is starting to kick off once more again. We're going to have a blast leading up to the draft, and especially, like I said, watch out. We're going to talk free agency because it's only getting just crazy. I mean, as of this recording, this is only the second day of free agency, whereas they can agree in principle, but not really say it. And team wise, the whole kind of tampering period, if you will. So we'll be talking about that as it comes along. We'll have plenty of stuff to discuss on that. Until next time, though, for Tony Stanison, for Michael Grimberg, I'm Zach Keilman saying so long. Thank you as always. Until next time, stay tuned. The Gridiron Gallery Podcast. New episodes every Friday on your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, and premiering first, as always, at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, only on UnhingedSN.com.